everyone, and welcome to the P1 Broadcasting Channel. You've got Murph. You've got Caleb Brashear. It's the Bash Brothers. We are back, and we are live at the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. It is Memorial Day weekend. It's all the fun. It's all the pageantry. It's all the car racing you can handle, Caleb. They've moved Monaco, but Indianapolis and Charlotte remain, and this is where it all starts with the Grand National and Truck Series at Charlotte. The AMA is no different. It's time for the never-forgotten 300 here on P1. Caleb, we've got a bit of a shakeup on the timesheets. We've got 29 cars signed in. We've got 300 miles ahead of us. How about it?
Yeah, you look at the timesheets early on. There are some new faces, or not necessarily new faces, but there are some drivers that you usually see battling in the midfield up towards the top of the table, and a lot of the drivers that you see that are usually, inside the top five every single race, a little bit further down than what we're expecting in this practice session here.
You know, Charlotte's kind of like Indianapolis in that regard for the stock car guys. They come here all the time, and so it's a free track in the sim. It's one that you start early, right? Even in super stocks or even in street stocks, they come here once every 4 weeks. So you start racing this track as a rookie in iRacing. So it's one that everybody is very familiar with. It's also one that everybody wants to win at, kind of like Indianapolis in an IndyCar. And it's also, so because of those things, it's one that everybody knows. Justin Osterman right now, top of the charts, 30.200, 178.808 miles an hour. Joshua Siegfried, Franco Alvarez, Sam Crow, and Ryan O'Donohue round out the top five. Interestingly enough, and Caleb, you mentioned this at the top of the, you mentioned this in kind of our pre-race discussion. Greg Evans, Kendall Paul, they're not in that top five, 7th and 8th.
Yeah, Greg Evans and Kendall Paul, they're not that far off. They are within a 10th of our leader of practice, Justin Osterman. They're doing about a 30.2 in terms of lap time, but they're down in the 7th and 8th places at the moment. Greg Evans, of course, last year's winner here at Charlotte, and Kendall Paul, he's had strong runnings. That's first and second in the championship, and they're kind of running upper midfield right now, which is real kind of lower than what we expect here, especially at a track like Charlotte, where they've been very, very good at the mile and a half or the quad ovals.
You know, it would be, and we were kind of talking about that. I don't read all that much into practice times because, one, Caleb, you never know who's working on what, but also you don't really, you don't know who's working on what. You don't know what the agendas are. Also, you don't know who caught a draft. The draft is effective here at Charlotte. It's not nearly what it is at Daytona, Talladega, Atlanta, or a place like that, but it is effective. So you don't know, maybe, some of those guys caught a big toe, especially coming off a turn 2 down the backstretch. You just don't know. We do want to welcome everybody into the broadcast. You're watching the AMA pre-race show here on the P1 Broadcasting Channel. We're about 6 minutes from qualifying. If you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel so that you can get on all of the iRacing fun. It's Murph and it's Caleb Brashear. The Bash Brothers are back for one more AMA race before, Caleb, you and I are going to start, you're going to head west. I'm going to head south, and we're all going to meet. We're going to meet the same place here in a couple of days.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest motorsport weekends of the entire year. You briefly mentioned it, even though Monaco and F1 has moved. We still got two of the biggest races in North America. In fact, the biggest race in the world happening this weekend with the Indy 500, and then obviously the Coke 600, the longest NASCAR race on their schedule. Two of the biggest races in North America, and this just. We're going to, you said we're going to meet down there for Indianapolis, and it's a lot of, not only us, a lot of the IndyCar community, a lot of the P1 broadcasting guys are also going to be there as well. So we only have a couple more days, Murphy, before we get to have some fun here.
Most certainly so, and it's always good to meet up with guys and gals in person that you race with in the sim. Certainly Indianapolis is one of those kind of clearinghouse events where you most certainly do. That practice has concluded. The drivers' meeting has begun. A little bit about Charlotte Motor Speedway. It has a very checkered history, Caleb. It was originally built in 1959. It opened in 1960 as a partnership between Bruton Smith and famous NASCAR legendary driver Curtis Turner. Turner and Smith ran it for several years, and then in the mid 1970s, well, they kind of ran out of money. They went, or the mid 1960s, they ran out of money. The track went into receivership. It was then purchased by Charlotte businessman Richard Howard and run by him from the mid 1960s to the 1970s. When Bruton Smith had made enough money, he bought the track back and installed Humpy Wheeler as the promoter. And Humpy Wheeler, a NASCAR Hall of Famer in his own right, then basically turned Charlotte into the facility that it is today. It's 1.5 miles around, 24 degrees banking in the turns, 5 degrees of bank on the front and the back. It is a quad oval, not a tri-oval. It's a quad oval because of the unique dog leg shape of the front straightaway, not the more symmetrical, gentle left-hand curve that you see at many tracks. But they are two sharp, they're not quite 45 degrees, but they're definitely turns, Caleb, and they will get your attention. There is a road course in the middle. Everybody knows that as the Roval. That road course has been around for quite some time. It hosted IMSA events even back into the late 1980s. It became disused and eventually was brought back to host the NASCAR Cup guys. Annually, it has two races. It is the two NASCAR races. It is traditionally also the home of the NASCAR All-Star Race, known as the Winston, and it was that way from 1987 to 2020. And it also has hosted Indy cars. Originally, USAC was supposed to come here and run a 500-kilometer race in October of 1980. That was canceled due to the USAC kart thaw in the original split. In 1996, IndyCar announced that they were going to come back. They ran 3 years, and then that race went away due to an incident where some spectators were struck by flying debris. The track record here is held by Kenny Brack in a Dallara IR7, 24.735. The NASCAR Grand National track record is owned by the late Kyle Busch, 29,962, and we are going just a bit slower than that today, Caleb. The fastest laps are in the 30.2 second the 30.2 second bracket.
Yeah, Justin Osman with a 30.2 flat at the top of the board, which is faster than what we saw in previous years here in the Grand National Series, in the virtual Grand National Series. In terms of lap times, they are going slightly quicker here in practice, and it will only get quicker as the night goes on.
It will. Right now, the weather in practice, 70 degrees in the air, 92 on the track. The wind is out of the west, 14 miles an hour. So they got a breeze blowing across the Charlotte Motor Speedway. That westerly wind, if I look at a compass, is going to be blowing across the nose going through turns 3 and 4. It'll be a tailwind pushing them through turns 1 and 2, and then it's going to be blowing across the front and back straightaway. You're going to see the handling affected in both corners of the speedway with that wind, Caleb, and that is a significant. That's going to be a significant adjustment. The cars are going to handle much differently. That weather will change throughout the night. The sun's going to go completely down. The lights are going to come on, and when that does, the track will cool off, and the speedway should become more and more racy as the evening progresses.
Yes, it does, and that's one of the unique things, especially about this spring race here in NASCAR, is that It usually starts in the daytime. This is one of the longer endurance races on, at least on the Cup schedule. It kind of follows the same tradition in both the Truck Series and the O'Reilly Series, where these are some of the longer races that these guys have. So a lot of the time you'll start in the afternoon. You'll end it under the lights here, Murph, and that's one of the kind of the spectacles of Charlotte ever since they installed lights here a little ways ago, longer than I've been alive. But Murph remembers probably when they ran without lights.
I do remember when they ran without lights. I can remember watching on TV Caleb, when they had the first night race here, 1992, spectacular race. Dale Earnhardt led coming to the white, didn't make it back to the checker. Kyle Petty and Davey Allison and the famous shower of sparks finish here to close out the Winston. But I remember that very well, and it was a very unique thing to see racing under the lights on a super speedway. It had never been done before, and frankly, it ushered in a new era of stock car auto racing. It was something that, it was something, Caleb, that, frankly, invented basically for this race. The lights in the top on the light standards, as we watch Greg Evans qualify, they don't actually light the track here. Do you know that, Caleb?
I did not know that, Murph.
Okay, so the lights in the top on the light standards, it's not like a baseball stadium where those lights shine down on the field. Those lights actually shine across the track above the driver's head, and they are precisely focused on a set of mirrors on the inside of the speedway. And it's the mirrors that focus the light on the track, and they do that so that the beams of light aren't shining in the driver's eyes. It also has the effect of basically doubling the amount of light that's going across the facility, and it turns the racing surface almost into daylight. Matter of fact, I remember news articles at the time where they measured the amount of light coming off those lights and then the mirrors, and it was actually brighter on the track at night with the lights on than it was during the day.
That's quite interesting, Murph. You learn something new every day with Mark Murphy here in the P1 broadcasting booth.
You can see him, as Greg Evans has completed his qualifying run. We will say hey Lewis Hayes. I'm going to get into the blimp, and I want you to watch along the inside of the track. You'll see little black boxes down at the bottom of the screen. Those are the mirrors that the light focuses on. And those are all the way around the speedway, and you'll see they match up exactly with the light towers on the outside of the track. But that's how they light it, and it's very well done here at Charlotte. Like I said, it's actually brighter at night than it is during the day. There are no shadows because of that system either. It's really kind of a cool thing. At least no shadows that affect the drivers.
Yeah, it's probably all one giant science that they do across all of these tracks. Currently still watching Lewis Hayes on his Q run. He's in the back straightaway on his second lap. First lap is putting him down with a 30.6 down at 20th at the moment. We'll see if he improves his time as he comes onto the front straightaway. Second lap usually is quicker here in qualifying around here. And he does improve. He is going to do a 30.424. That is going to put him in the 10th position.
He does indeed. We'll go see Crash Neon in his run. Crash right now has not set a time. This track, or this race, as we watch the Simshop qualification round. This race is billed as the Never Forgotten 300. It is Memorial Day weekend after all. We will have series director Kendall Paul and John Hutchins in the booth once qualifying has concluded. Kendall has a few words he would like to say, and then John, I believe, is going to lead us in a prayer. And so We will have that momentarily. We're about 40 seconds left in qualifying. Watching Crash Neon as he flies around the Charlotte Motor Speedway. His first lap, 17th quick. Second lap, 33.75, and that is going to put him just into the top 10 in 10th. Crash Neon will be the last qualifier. Nobody else, Quarter Dunwoody, Lee Campbell, Christopher Logan, or Mike Rigney, is going to set a time this evening. So that's going to be your grid as it stands, dependent upon how they line them up for iRating purposes at the bottom of the field.
It's interesting, Murph, is Dunwoody, your 2024 winner, decided not to qualify here.
He did decide not to qualify, and that is an interesting choice. We are now joined by Kendall Paul and John Hutchins. Kendall Paul, of course, the administrator of the American Motorsports Association leagues, and John Hutchins. Kendall, take it away.
Yeah, I would just like to ask everybody here to join us in a moment of silence for everybody that's fought for our country and that's paid the ultimate sacrifice. And let's also have a moment of silence for Kyle Busch. Following the moment of silence, I would like John Hutchins to provide tonight's invocation.
Most gracious and Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for this day. We thank you, Lord, for a time that we can come together and join in the spirit of competition. And Lord, we thank you for those that have come before us and have laid down their lives, Lord, in service of this country. And we give you praise and honor for everything, Lord Heavenly Father, but most of all for the gift of your Son, Jesus. And Lord, we thank you that you made a way that we could spend eternity with you. Because we know, Lord, that life is short and we never know when our time has come. But Lord, we give you thanks and we honor you upon this day. Be with those families that are dealing with loss. Be with us, Lord, in these coming days. In Jesus' most precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen, John. Thank you, John Hutchins, Kendall Paul, for the invocation and for the moment of silence. We will get them back with their Interstellar Esports teammates. And with that, as races on Memorial Day weekend do, Caleb, we've had the prayer, we've had the prayer, we've had the moment of silence, and now, brother, we're going to have a car race on the pole with a lap of 173.244 miles an hour. It's Ryan O'Donohue. Mark Paget will line up second on the outside. Sean Roberts, Justin Osterman will go from third and fourth. Franco Alvarez, Kendall Paul, row 3. Greg Evans, Joshua Siegfried, 7th and 8th. And on row 5, 9th and 10th, it's Joshua Zorn and Crash Neon. Rick Fallas is 11th. Say Hey Lewis Hayes will roll from 12th. In 13th, it's John Hutchins. Vance Fisher, the Tabasco Fiasco, will go 14th. 15th, Trevor Ryan. 16th, Sergio Abella. Sam Crow, Matt Sizzler will roll from 17th and 18th. And row 10 is going to be Troy Carricker and Robert Smith. '21st, it's Andrew Gates. How about Randy Dunlap? 22nd, the Teddy Bear. Teddy Craven will go alongside Brian Sharp from row 12. Donald Green, 25th. And then the non-qualifiers, David Dunwoody, Mike Rigney, Lee Campbell, Eric Quarter, and Christopher Logan will round out your field. And there they all are, set for 200 laps, 300 miles at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, Caleb. This is always a fun race, day to night. O'Donohue getting ready to roll away. The pace car leads them off a pit road. Tell us about the rules tonight, Caleb. What are we looking at?
Well, stages are going to be 45 and 90, and then 200 laps in total. And we're going to have a slightly different rule with the tires here, Murph. We're going to actually have 4 new sets over the wall, 5 in total, 1 on the car. And that's going to throw up the strategy here because Charlotte, it does wear tires like every other mile and a half, but having that extra set could play some strategy advantage over, how these guys might want to play stages, how they might play that third and final stage, and if we get a late race caution, who still has an extra set over the wall here.
That's always the key, right? Tire wear is a massive deal here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway in the sim. It is in real life. This track is known to be rough. It is known to chew up the Goodyear rubber. Who's got that extra set at the end is going to be a pretty big deal. Pace car is leading them through turn 3, about to hit turn number 4. And when they do, we're going to turn them loose for 200 laps of AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. Congratulations to Ryan O'Donoghue for the Simshop Pole Award, www.simshop.com. Just keep racing. But now Barney's got the green flag in the air. O'Donoghue leads them away, and we are racing at Charlotte in the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series.
Yeah, O'Donoghue didn't get the absolutely greatest start there. Mark Padgett on his outside, still alongside him going through turns 1 and 2. Ryan O'Donoghue just about clears him. First 3 cars are back about clear. First 4 cars now, and they are side by side, starting with Franco Alvarez and Kendall Paul. Back about 4 car lengths, battling for that 5th place spot as they still fan out, still going side by side. O'Donoghue got really loose on turn 4. He's in the wall.
Ryan O'Donoghue is in the wall early. Ryan O'Donoghue, the pole sitter, struck the outside retaining wall. And he is, now we've got a crash in front of him, and O'Donoghue's involved. Troy Carricker, John Houchin, Sergio Abella, all in the wall. And we're going to have a lot to unpack here, Caleb, at the start of this race. Ryan O'Donoghue, the pole sitter, caught the wall, turn 4, lap 1. And then an accident right in front of him. Say Hey Lewis Hayes and Brian Sharp, both with an early meatball. Multiple cars involved here. And let's see what we can see. There's O'Donoghue. He's out to a big lead early, Caleb. And he just gets the car sideways. Coming through 3 and 4. That machine, and he hangs it up on the wall. He does a really amazing job of keeping that car straight and up on the wall, looking to see what may have befallen Say Hey Lewis Hayes and Brian Sharp. So there's Carricker and that's Carricker and Say Hey Lewis Hayes. I misspoke. I thought it was John Houchins. It's actually Say Hey Lewis Hayes. There you see Sergio Abella get into the action. And where is Brian Sharp? He's already on the pit lane. So the 38 machine of Randy Dunlap got sideways. Sharp lifted off the gas, took evasive action. And both of those cars are going to slide in the pit lane. Dunlap actually slid into the pit lane. Sharp got the barrels.
Yeah, pretty chain reaction. A very big chain reaction there on this opening lap here at Charlotte. But that threw a giant wrench into everything. Ryan O'Donoghue, our pole sitter, going to come down pit lane, get some damage on the first lap of the race, basically. And that allowed Mr. Excitement, Justin Ostman, to slide in to first place right before that caution came out.
It did. The good news for Ryan O'Donoghue is that there wasn't a whole lot. I mean, you can see the wrinkles on the back of that car and on the right rear quarter panel. I don't think there's a whole lot of damage to that thing. So he's probably, you see the front end straight. It's mostly the right side and the rear of the car that are hurt. And so O'Donoghue should be able to get most of that fixed. Say Hey Lewis Hayes is in much worse shape. There's Hayes. He has suffered an engine failure in that 43 machine, and so Say Hey Lewis Hayes will be out of this when Brian Sharp has already retired his car. Much the same situation for him, and an opening lap to remember for Mr. Excitement, Justin Osterman. He starts this race in 4th. he leads it at the first yellow.
Yeah, Mr. Excitement leading very early on here at Charlotte. And what we did bring up in the practice session, he was top of the board in the practice session, and we were wondering if that could have been, if that was his true pace, maybe he was doing some Q times, but by him leading very early on in this race, it goes to show that he has this thing dialed up here.
He most certainly does. We would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about Kyle Busch and experiences with him in the sim under this first admin box caution flag. I don't know if it may predate you, but Kyle Busch has some involvement with the IndyCar community in iRacing. It had long been rumored that he wanted to run the Indianapolis 500, and that the 2012 ride that went to his brother Kurt was actually intended for Kyle. And then because of sponsorship commitments and his commitment to Joe Gibbs Racing, he did not run that. He did not run that race. But there were some very serious looks by Kyle Busch to run at Indianapolis, and in kind of an exploratory move, he ran the Elite Racing League Indy 500. He ran the Elite Racing League 500 a few years back and got some assistance from several members in the IndyCar community, and we all thought very highly of him for his efforts at Indianapolis in the sim. A very well-liked character, and certainly he will be missed by all in motor racing. But there is a connection with Kyle, and there is a connection with Kyle Busch and the iRacing community too, as there is with many drivers. As we get ready to go back to green, Caleb.
Justin Osborne is going to lead him off. Mark Paget to his outside. Mr. Excitement gets a very nice jump on the initial start. So does Franco Alvarez. He's going to slot briefly into second as they go into turn number 1.
Yeah, a great mention from Colby Pierce. The car that Kyle Larson drove in the Indy 500 was also originally intended for Kyle Busch. So a couple of times he tried to run that race, and it didn't work out. Right now, it's working out for Justin Osterman. He is, with Ryan O'Donoghue in the wall, he has sailed away to about a 4 to 5 car length advantage over Franco Alvarez. Mark Paget third. Greg Evans has made his way up to fourth, Caleb, in the early going.
Yeah, we had a bit of a question whether or not Greg Evans had this thing, kind of figured it out. He wasn't slow, but he was around 7th and 8th, which is usually, a lot lower what we see of Greg Evans, especially at these 1.5 quad oval tracks that he usually is always so good at. And now he's kind of, found the pace a little bit. He slots himself up into 4th due to the early nature, the early running, the little bit of chaos we've already had. But he slots himself in 4th, but he's still got Sean Roberts all over his rear bumper right now, and he would like a chance to go by him.
He would. One of the car that I'm watching right now is Ryan O'Donoghue. He's got that 14 machine repaired somewhat. He made a couple of different pit stops, took 1:09 seconds of repair on the last stop, and he is currently in 26th spot, ahead of only Christopher Logan and Troy Carricker. He's working on the back of Randy Dunlap, and I don't know that the car for Ryan O'Donoghue is completely repaired, Caleb, or if he's just taking it easy. But that is a much faster car than 25th would make you believe at this moment.
Yes, it would indeed. We got 3 wide up at the front. Watching the battle for the front, just inside the top 10. That is Kendall Paul, Crash Neon. You got Trevor Ryan in that mix as well. We got an incredible battle just outside the top 5 here, basically from 5th through 10th. They've been going side by side. They still get side by side. Almost losing it there off turn number 2.
Yeah, that was Sean Roberts got tagged by the 45 of Trevor Ryan. He got it sideways. John Houchins is going to follow him through, and we're looking at Crash Neon. Neon has a great seat for this battle in 10th. You're looking at side by side action for the 9th spot here in the early going, lap 11 of 200 at Charlotte. We also have a battle for second. Mark Paget has pulled himself even with Franco Alvarez as Justin Osterman has sailed away into the distance. He leads it by 1.6 seconds. Alvarez and Paget duking it out for second.
On the bottom, you see him wrapping the bottom there. Franco Alvarez kind of holding that third to fourth lane on the high side. And that's one thing that you got to consider is like the high side at Charlotte really likes to wear the tires out significantly more than just wrapping the bottom here. It does seem to be, as they get very, very close to turns 1 and 2, you see Mark Paget understeering upwards into Franco Alvarez. No contact, though. No harm, no foul. But Mark Paget holding that bottom. He's getting right to the bottom, right around that blue line that you see there, and he is just about able to clear Franco Alvarez. Not quite. Franco's got to run on the high side.
Yeah, it's very difficult. This track is very much a two-groove, a true groove racetrack. Caution is out. Andrew Gates has found the cement right about where Davey Allison crashed in the 1992 Winston, and that is going to bring out the yellow light. We are under caution, lap 13 of 200. And there's Gates. He's more or less by himself here, going through 3 and 4. And he's just going to run a little bit high, smack the wall. He's going to come down and get tagged. Evasive action taken by the 28 of David Dunwoody. That was the 11 machine that we saw going down to the inside. That's Robert Smith, and a pretty hard lick for Andrew Gates on that outside wall. He's going to bounce off of it one time. He's going to get tagged by Smith and finally spin, get it with the right rear, get the nose. And then this is the one that hurts, is this one right where the tri-oval or the quad oval comes back, right there.
Yeah, it's going to give him some left side damage, which is going to... You really don't get much left side damage and hit the wall like that square on, possibly affecting both the front and rear side of that truck there, or that Grand National car.
It most certainly does. Too early for pit stops yet, Caleb. We're 14 laps of 200 down when they cross the line this time. With the tire limit, you're not going to see anybody up at the front come and burn a set of tires this early. They want that extra set for the end of this event, not for right now. It doesn't really do you any good to take tires now. We are going to see Ryan O'Donohue come down pit lane, as will Christopher Logan and Andrew Gates. I'm sure Troy Carricker will also be back in. Those drivers are going to want to take some additional damage repair. Well, Carricker may not be back in. Carricker may be in a situation where he gets a lucky dog here, actually.
He is taking his lucky dog lap now, so he should be coming down pit lane once he catches the rear of this field.
Well, and he may not. Now, the reason you're seeing Carricker get that lap back, he's the only car a lap down. He is 7 laps in arrears. You mentioned earlier, Caleb, that this race can be very much an endurance race for these guys, and it is. Here in the AMA, they do a lot of longer races, but this one is full distance for 300 miles, and it takes time. And it is something, you're going to see lapses in concentration, lapses in judgment on these cars or on these drivers, and that's going to lead to caution flags. And this is not the last time we see the admin box yellow light come on tonight, Caleb.
It most certainly will not. However, looking at previous notes I have here of past Grand National races, we've only had 5 cautions in the previous 2 races we've had here on the oval back in 2024 and 2025. So they've been fairly clean races here in the Grand National races, and 15 laps in, and we already are on caution number 2 of that. So it looks like it's going to be a little bit more. There's going to be a little bit more attrition in this year's edition of a 300-mile race on the oval here at Charlotte.
It will indeed. You're watching Justin Osterman lead Mark Paget. Paget going to line up on the outside. Franco Alvarez, Greg Evans, row 2, row 3. Joshua Siegfried, Kendall Paul, Trevor Ryan, and Sean Roberts going to line up 7th and 8th. John Hutchins, Crash Neon will round out your top 10.
We got a lot of faces that we don't really see here often at the front of the field, or very often at all. A lot of these guys sometimes are just doing part-time seasons, like Franco Alvarez. He came in about 4 or 5 races ago, I believe, is Kansas, and he's slotted himself as a top 5 contender week in, week out. So, and we got Justin Osterman up at the front of this field leading some laps here as the pace car now gets in the pit lane.
It will indeed. Lights are out. Pace car is in. Barney's got the green flag. Let's see if we can get a good green flag run going here, Caleb. What do you say? The green flag is out. Racing resumes, and we are going to jump in the grandstands and see what we can see as if we're a fan here at Charlotte. Osterman hauls it down into turn number 1. Alvarez and Paget go after it again for P2.
Yeah, Alvarez able to clear Mark Paget on the inside there, but he looks like he's got to run down the backstretch. He holds the bottom there, and it's kind of like what we saw right before that caution came out. Franco Alvarez on the high side, Mark Paget on the bottom. Right behind him, Greg Evans still being very patient early on in this running. He's got Joshua Siegfried and Kendall Paul right in his rear bumper, followed by Trevor Ryan, and you got a little bit gap to John Hutchins, Sean Roberts, and Crash Neon. That's currently your top 10 on this restart here.
It is indeed. Battle develops for the 3rd spot. Greg Evans will drop his Chevrolet to the inside of Mark Paget, and he'll see if he can't put himself on the bottom step of the podium. That's Evans on the inside in the deuce. Sponsored by Sim Magic, and Greg Evans will go to 3rd, and he'll immediately go to work on the back of Franco Alvarez for 2nd.
He will indeed, but Joshua Siegfried now looks on the rear bumper of Mark Paget. He looks to the inside. He's got a fender there. He's got a fender along the back straightaway. He might clear him going into turn number 3.
Mark Paget fighting back effectively on the outside for now, but he's going to see the position, and there goes Joshua Siegfried into 4th. Paget now has dropped back to 5th, and he's going to be under fire from Kendall Paul here before too much longer. He needs to get that number 22 moving because Kendall Paul, Trevor Ryan, John Houchins, Sean Roberts, and Crash Neon are all right there. The top 10, really the top 13, all right in a line. There's a break back to Vance Fisher in the 14th spot, but it's not going to be long either before this man right here, Franco Alvarez, puts the challenge to Justin Osterman for the lead. It'll be Alvarez and Mr. Excitement for the top spot. Alvarez is coming.
Yeah, and it looks like Alvarez is closing that gap. He's a lot closer compared to other runs that everybody else has had on Osterman early on these restarts. He is a lot closer than what we've seen before, and he's got, he's going to be pushing a little bit harder because, well, you got, one of the best in the AMA Grand National Series right behind him, Greg Evans. He knows he needs to get a move on, get around Justin Osterman as fast as he can. You could see him going to the bottom. What's interesting is Osterman's just kind of holding that high line through the dog leg. I'm kind of curious why he's exactly doing that, but Franco Alvarez hunting Mr. Excitement for the top spot of the podium.
He is. Joshua Siegfried was hunting Greg Evans for the 3rd spot. That's going to cost him some momentum. He looked to the bottom, had to lift out of it, and that will invite the challenge from Mark Paget. They're going to do battle for 4th here.
Yeah, Mark Paget dropped early in the running. Now he's got to run on Greg Evans. Still to his inside, but he's going to have to lift off of it. Greg Evans now is holding the bottom against Joshua Siegfried. Siegfried's got to run on the high side. Might try a cut back and get a run down the front straightaway or to the back straightaway. Now we got a battle for the lead. Franco Alvarez is up the inside of Mr. Excitement, Justin Osterman.
Osterman's going to lift out of it. Discretion, the better part of valor. He's going to come back and get a great run on the inside, though. Justin Osterman trying to get the lead back, but we've got a new leader, 23 complete, 20 to start lap 24. It's Franco Alvarez. Now Osterman goes to the inside in turn 1.
Yeah, Franco Alvarez seems to like that high side groove all the way around the track. He's been kind of glued to it. He hasn't really ran the bottom the entire night, apart from, early ons on these restarts. Osterman trying to use the bottom to his advantage, but he can't get the run going onto the straightaways to get back alongside Franco Alvarez. And now he's got Greg Evans on his rear bumper.
He does. All this battling has let Greg Evans, Joshua Siegfried, and Mark Paget back in the fight. Mark Paget dives to the inside of Greg Evans, and that makes it 2x2 for the lead. Now Evans gets the run on the high side. He goes to the outside of Osterman. Alvarez to the lead. Evans and Osterman battle for second. Paget and Siegfried battle for fourth.
Yeah, a lot of side-by-side action. Greg Evans able to clear Osterman on the high side. That's going to allow Mark Paget possibly to get a run on the high side. Mark Paget sent it really, really high, almost the third and fourth lane, almost into wall on entry, but he's still side-by-side with Joshua Siegfried.
Whoa, we got contact! Joshua Siegfried, Trevor Ryan came together, and now Mark Paget is loose on the bottom. He's actually on the apron, Caleb.
He got slightly into Osterman there on the entry of 3, and they both it kind of shoved them both down there on the bottom of the corner. And now we got a battle for the lead here. Greg Evans is on the inside of Franco Alvarez.
Lots and lots and lots happening in a very short span of time here at Charlotte in the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series, and we're not even 30 laps into this thing, Caleb. Greg Evans drops to the bottom. He'll try to take the lead from Franco Alvarez, but Alvarez has been really strong on that high side. He's able to stay slightly ahead as we come back to the line, but Evans does have the preferred line, Caleb. You would think eventually that the inside is going to prevail here. Evans now edges slightly ahead into turn 1, but Alvarez, he's going to try to fight back on that outside coming off of turn number 2. They're even Steven, Caleb.
They're even Steven, not only with Alvarez and Evans, but also Osterman and Kendall Paul battling for the third place spot. But Mr. Excited gets really deep, almost in the rear bumper of Greg Evans going into turn number 3. That's going to allow Alvarez to finally clear Greg Evans and keep that first place spot.
I don't know if there was contact there, Caleb, but if there wasn't, it was really close. I have just been informed that the final Jeopardy question for tonight was motor racing related. I will read you the clue, Caleb, and see if you can get this right. Again, final Jeopardy tonight. Surface material laid down in 1909 gave a landmark venue this name. A 36-inch strip remains today. That is correct.
Second you said 1909, and it's like, yep, that's like the only. That was like one of the only tracks.
And do you know how many of those smart people got that answer? Got the question correct?
Probably 0 because it's Jeopardy.
The answer is 0. Always amazes me how people that have such amazing general knowledge are so ignorant of things that are so commonly known. Big contact, Sean Roberts!
John Roberts!
All right, man.
Caution is on the Speedway. He's taking Joshua Zorn with him, and that started back up in turn 3, and hard contact for Donald Green. Hard contact for the 79. They're still plowing in. That's Eric Corder. My goodness sakes, Caleb. This is all going to start right here with Sean Roberts. He gets up in the wall, very similar to what happened to Ryan O'Donohue earlier. He gets up in the wall and he kind of stays there, but the dog leg doesn't keep you straight. It kind of shoots you down. He makes contact with Joshua Zorn. Zorn is going to go hard in the wall right there. Roberts hard in the wall. Everybody else is going to sneak through more or less. And here comes Donald Green through and just clouts him, Caleb. And wait, there's more. Here comes Eric Corder, and he'll clout Donald Green. My goodness sakes. Let's get up on the roll bar. I think this is something where these guys just couldn't see, Caleb. You know, we have the benefit of hindsight and slow motion and all that. Let's go back and I'll show it to you in real time. There's not a lot that these guys can see when it's like that.
just it happens so quickly, and you can only get on the brakes so hard in these things. They don't like to slow down, Murph. So if a crash like that happens in front, sometimes the best course of action is just to try to find a gap. And fortunately, two of those drivers not able to find one just in time.
No, they couldn't, and that'll bring out the admin box caution one more time. We've still got 13 laps to go in the stage. Franco Alvarez is your leader. Greg Evans second, Kendall Paul third. Justin Osterman has fallen back to fourth, and Joshua Siegfried is fifth. We do want to thank everybody for joining in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel so that you can get in on all of the iRacing fun. We are nearing 2,500 subscribers, Caleb. That's a big number. So make sure you ring that bell. We also want to thank Outland Custom Arms for their support of the AMA. At Outland Custom Arms, their mission is to provide hunters and outdoor sportsmen with precision-crafted firearms rooted in Oregon's rugged legacy. Every build is hand-tuned for performance, reliability, and the uncompromising pursuit of the perfect shot. And we are just about ready to decide Track Racer Stage number 1, Caleb.
Well, Franco Alvarez currently leads the field, but we've had a lot of strong runners already kind of be at the back of this field or have incidents. Ryan O'Donohue, obviously, on the first lap. Sean Roberts, he started third. He's now got a DNF. His engine's gone. Joshua Zorn, he started ninth. His engine's also gone. So we got 2 DNFs there. You know, Mark Padgett had that big slide on the apron. He finds himself back in 10th. We've had a lot of the front runners here, Murph, have a lot of shuffling, and a lot of the midfield guys kind of find themselves back inside the top 10 at the moment.
It is, and Franco Alvarez, you mentioned, running a partial schedule. A guy that is not running a partial schedule is Greg Evans. He is 118 points ahead of Kendall Paul for the championship right now. Ryan O'Donohue is third. He had troubles early, even though he sat on the pole. Sam Crow is fourth. Crow is currently holding down the 9th spot, renumbered the 000 in honor of the late Kyle Busch this evening. He did not want to run his normal 8. Thought that he would honor Kyle Busch by letting that one rest this evening. John Houchins is 5th in the points. David Dunwoody, Crash Neon, and James Hodgson are your remaining drivers that would be in the chase at this. They're the top 8. Troy Carricker, Sahey Lewis Hayes, Franco Alvarez, and Justin Osterman make up the remainder of the top 12 as we get ready to head back to green. Barney's going to put it up in the air. We're going to have 11 laps to decide Track Racer Stage number 1.
Green flag.
Is it going to be Franco Alvarez? Is it going to be Greg Evans? Can Kendall Paul sneak a win? We're in a stage we're about to find out. Alvarez got a great jump, Caleb.
Yes, he did indeed. Greg Evans slots himself into that second place position, but Kendall Paul and Mr. Excitement going side by side through third. Kendall on the bottom. He looked like he was going to get up the inside of Greg Evans on the exit corner of turn number 2, but not able to do it. And now Mr. Excitement, Justin Osman, is slotting himself into second on the high side on the outside of Greg Evans.
I'll tell you what, there's a car that just came out of the midfield, shot out of a cannon. It's Matt Sizzler in the all-black 3 birdies, number 93. He drops to the bottom of John Houchins. It's Matt Sizzler looking to make up ground here at the close of the stage. This car started in the 18th spot. He is currently 6th and moving forward, Caleb.
Yeah, Matt Sizzler was one of the strong runners last time out at Dover, and he got caught up in a couple incidents there that ultimately put him out of the race. I guarantee you he wants some redemption for that.
I'm sure he does. Matt Sizzler is always competitive, and we've called his races on the channel many a time. Franco Alvarez leads it, but it's Matt Sizzler we're watching. He's worked to the inside of John Houchins. We'll see if he can't grab that 6th spot. He's been working at it, but Houchin's going to prevail on the outside. Meanwhile, Joshua Siegfried has pulled up to the inside of Greg Evans. They're going to do battle for 2nd. Kendall Paul, Justin Osterman, they're going at it for 4th and 5th.
Joshua Siegfried gets the inside run. He edges just in front of Greg Evans, but Greg's going to have the run on the high side. Lots of shuffling behind them. Kendall Paul on the outside. Osterman looking up the inside. Mr. Excitement sends it in deep. Gets very, very close to Kendall there, but Kendall's got the run. Greg Evans slots himself back into 3rd place. Joshua Siegfried gets up into 2nd. And there's a little bit of shuffling behind them. That is John Hutchins and Sam Crow going side by side. Now it's Hutchins and Mark Pageant. Pageant, of course, was in the top 5 majority of the day. He got stuck on the apron 3 and 4. Now is trying to climb back up inside the top 5 here, Murph, and he is trying to get around John Hutchins on the bottom.
Just outside of the top 10 has climbed David Dunwoody. And I say climbed David Dunwoody. He's made up 15 spots in this opening stanza. David Dunwoody looking to finish in the top 10 of this stage as we get down to 6 laps to go here. He drops the inside of Houchins. David Dunwoody's not done.
No, he is not. David Dunwoody, of course, the 2024 Oval winner here at Charlotte, led a staggering 164 laps that year. So he basically dominated that race. He knows this track. He knows how to drive it. He knows how to race it. He knows how to win it. So David Dunwoody doing a back of the field to the try to get back up to the 1st place spot, trying to reclaim a win here over Greg Evans. Greg Evans, of course, last year's winner. And as I say that, right in front, Greg Evans getting to the inside of Joshua Siegfried for the 2nd place spot.
He is, and look at the car on the top. Let's see. That's the teddy bear, Ted Craven. Now, he is on fresh tires, Caleb. He came in and stopped under that last yellow, and he came in and stopped under that last yellow, and he is making time. 9 laps on the current tires. He is a full half a second a lap quicker than the leaders in the car around him, and Ted Craven is coming forward here at the end of this stage. Just watch him drive through the center of the corner. No match for the new tires. Craven bounces off the wall. Craven's going to hit the wall hard now.
Oh, he's got heavy damage. He's got steering damage there, Murph.
He does. Ted Craven. John Hutchins going to go to the apron. Ted Craven going to try to keep it high. He'll come back into the 13th spot. He'll keep on trucking. Just 2 laps to go in the stage now. Dunwoody drops the inside of Houchins, and that's a battle for a stage point. Meanwhile, up at the front, it's all Franco Alvarez. Dunwoody to the inside of Houchins for 10th.
Dunwoody still on that inside there. They cross the lines going side by side, but Dunwoody start from the back. He likes to do this often. We see him do that a lot where he'll start at the back of the field or, maybe not get a good qualifying run and just climb his way through the field. It seems like he likes to do that a lot here, Murph.
He does. Dunwoody on the bottom, Houchins on the top. This is probably the most consequential battle on the track. If it weren't for this one, Sizzler, Kendall Paul, and Joshua Siegfried, they're looking at third, fourth, and fifth right now. Sizzler had made it back to the 4th spot. He's racing hard. Contact!
Contact on the back straightaway. They go into 3 and 4. They're still side by side. This is the white flag lap of the stage. Matt Sizzler trying to get that 4th place spot just before the stage ends. Still on the inside. They come across the line. Of course, it doesn't count until 10th place crosses the line.
Caution is out. Caution is
Able to get 4th right there.
Oh, I don't know. That's going to be an iRacing call. The positions flipped on my screen in timing and scoring right when the yellow came out. So we'll need a judge's ruling. The winner of Track Racer Stage Break number 1 is Franco Alvarez. If you go to the web address that I just put in the chat and you use it just like that, you will get 5% of your order put into the AMA end of season prize pool. That's www.trackracer.com, and then make sure you put the promo code in at the end of the chat or at the end of the web address. You get 5% of your order in the AMA prize pool. Do want to also thank series sponsor Outland Custom Arms. At Outland Custom Arms, their mission is to provide hunters and outdoor sportsmen with precision-crafted firearms rooted in Oregon's rugged legacy. Every build is hand-tuned for performance, reliability, and the uncompromising pursuit of the perfect shot. We are going to have wholesale pit stops here, Caleb. Wholesale.
Yeah, we should see basically the entire field, except for maybe Ted Craven, come down and take a new set of Goodyear rubber, like we said at the beginning of the race. They do have an extra set in comparison to what we've seen here in the past at Grand National Series. Typically, they get 4 sets of tires, 3 over the wall, 1 on the car, but this time they get 5 here at Charlotte. So it should be still the same thing. You know, take a set at the end of stage 1, take a set at the end of stage 2. But where you take those other 2 sets could be a bit of a strategy call on most of these drivers.
You know, it could. This would be one of those. Caleb, where I might come and get gas only, for a couple of reasons. The first is to save a set of tires. Ted Craven is going to come down pit road simply because Ted Craven smacked the wall, and so he's going to have damage on that number 1 machine. Sergio Abella stopped, same caution. Sergio Abella is going to stay out. Race off of pit road is going to be won by Franco Alvarez. Greg Evans will be second, and really it's going to be a matter of this man, Sergio Abella, making sure his tires are nice and cleaned up. We do want to report that Donald Green, Eric Corder, and Joshua Zorn have all retired their cars. Sean Roberts did stay out under that yellow, hoping to get a lap back with the wave around. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen for him. The lucky dog goes to Troy Carricker, and so Carricker is now 6 laps down, he'll be 5 laps down now, Caleb. So Troy Carricker just kind of starting to march forward, my man.
Yes, he does indeed. I believe he has already taken his lucky dog lap, so he's still 6 laps down here. Franco Alvarez, Greg Evans, Kendall Paul. As that was your first 3 going into pit lane. Now is Matt Sizzler. He got around Kendall Paul on that pit cycle there. So Matt Sizzler, we know he's quick. He was quick at Dover, and I guarantee you he probably wants some redemption. I'd be very shocked if he doesn't immediately shoot out into the lead on this early run in stage number 2.
Yeah, it would be a shocker. Sergio Abella is kind of doing the thing where, you know, he's betting that there's going to be a caution about midway through this stage as there was midway through the last stage. He'll come get his tires then and thereby be in a position to try and win the stage. That's his thought because nobody else would come at that point and get them, so he would have a major tire advantage. It's worth noting Ted Craven, 1:03 of repair on his car. Ryan O'Donohue, 1:02. Troy Carricker seems to have his car all the way fixed. He was only on pit road for 15 seconds and a new set of Goodyear rubber. He is now 6 laps down. But if the caution flags keep flying, Caleb, Troy Carricker might have a shot at getting back in this thing. How about it?
It would be the biggest comeback there. We've seen cars be 2 laps down and be in a battle for the win at the very end of it. Pace car is off. Sergio Bell is going to lead him off. Franco Alvarez on his outside.
He will. Barney has the green flag in hand. And we are back to racing here at Charlotte. That's the start of Black Magic Studios, stage number 2. And Abella got a pretty good jump. He's going to lead Greg Evans away, but just no match for the brand new tires. through the middle of the corner. Evans will shoot into the lead and immediately get a challenge from Franco Alvarez on the bottom for the lead, Caleb.
Yeah, Franco Alvarez running the bottom, which we haven't seen him do the entire day besides the opening lap. So, but behind them, we got a massive duel between Trevor Ryan and Matt Sizzler, as well as Sergio Bella. He's kind of just falling back due to the older tires there. And he's got Sam Crow right behind him and John Hutchins going side by side. That is for the 8th place spot, I believe. And they got Mr. Excitement right behind them.
He does. It wouldn't be the biggest comeback. I think the biggest comeback of all time still has to belong to Bill Elliott, the 1985 Winston 500 at Talladega. Elliott made up 2 full laps under green at Talladega. Tell you how fast that Ford was that day, Caleb. He made up 2 laps under green and without the aid of any sort of lucky dog, wave around, or yellow flag at all. He just straight made up 2 laps and won the race. That's some horsepower, my friend.
Like when they were unrestricted in the olden days, right?
That's right. As the saying goes, back when men were men and smelled like horses, that happened. I was 3 years old, so I was alive when it happened. I don't remember it. Of course, we've all seen the video. Matt Sizzler. We've seen this video. He drops below Kendall Paul, and Matt Sizzler is going to go to the 3rd spot. Sizzler is coming toward the front. He is now to 3rd, and the 3 Birdies car is going to start looking at Greg Evans for 2nd. He is coming.
Yes, but so is Greg Evans. He's all over the rear bumper of Franco Alvarez. He's trying to run that high side, but Franco Alvarez kind of running that middle lane, not exactly getting to the bottom there. He's run the high side all day, and Greg's trying to get a good run down these straightaways. He looks up the inside of Franco Alvarez. Franco immediately slams the door going to the bottom of the corner, and they've kind of pulled a gap over Matt Sizzler just a little bit.
You know they have, and that's something that's worth noting here, Caleb. Sometimes at Charlotte, and it's much more pronounced when we run the open wheel cars here, but Charlotte is very bumpy, and there is a rather large bump. It's called Humpy's Hump down there in turn number 1, and it is very upsetting even to these bigger stock cars. You really, in an Indy car, you drive around the thing. In a stock car, we're going to go back and hit. We're going to go back and look at Trevor Ryan battling Justin Osterman. This is battle for 5th. But in an Indy car, you drive around that bump. In a stock car, it's not going to hurt it. It's just going to upset it. But some guys still prefer not to run over it, and so that's why you see cars run in the middle line, especially through turns 1 and 2. The battle is from 3rd back to 6th. The front 2 have separated themselves. Sizzler 3rd, Paul 4th, Osterman 5th, Ryan 6th, and Sam Crow has latched himself onto the back of that train. He is 7th, and he's got Joshua Siegfried coming along in 8th.
They do indeed. I've been watching Osterman. He's been slicing his way back inside the top 5. It was only a couple laps ago. He was actually outside of the top 10 back in 11th or 12th place, and now he's all over the rear bumper of Kendall Paul. He's got a good run down the front straightaway. Doesn't have a look there, but he is very, very quick early on in stage number 2.
He does. Osterman all over the back at Kendall Paul. Now remember, those are more or less corporate teammates. They're not the same Discord, but there is an affiliation between the Interstellar and Black Magic teams that does still exist. Justin Osterman on the Interstellar side of that coin. Justin Osterman for Black Magic Studios. Osterman is a Charger, Caleb. He's going to continue to try to come toward the front.
Yeah, he led. He wants to get back in the lead, ultimately. He led a good portion of stage number 1. He wants to try to get back up there, but he hasn't been able to get a good enough run to get a fender on Kendall Paul right in front of him. He actually almost hits the wall coming out of turn number 2, and that allows Trevor Ryan to close that gap a little bit.
Yes, he does, but now Trevor Ryan falls back just a hair. Justin Osterman pulls up on the rear deck lid of Kendall Paul. Let's ride inside of Justin Osterman, or right on the roof. We'll get the telemetry up, and he is all over the back of that 78, Caleb.
Yes, he is indeed. He's sending, one thing I noticed, he's able to send it in deeper into these corners than many other drivers here, but he loses all that speed kind of on the apex area and not able to get the greatest run coming out of the corners. He's got a good run this time around on the Kendall Paul. He's kind of looking up the inside going to turn number 1, but he's still a little bit too far back to try anything. Right in front of them, Greg Evans and Matt Sizzler are almost going to duke it out there, but they kind of separated as they come off turn number 2. And it's gains a little bit more strung out here as we get some green flag laps underneath us.
We are. Greg Evans has started to hunt down Franco Alvarez as we watch the battle for fourth between Kendall Paul and Justin Osterman. Matt Sizzler has caught the front 3, and he now looks at the back of Greg Evans. Evans has fallen maybe 3 car lengths behind Franco Alvarez, but Matt Sizzler has bridged that gap between the front 2 and that second pack, and we are all right back in a line, positions 1 through 8.
Yeah, they're all right next to each other, and again, you can see Franco Alvarez. He's just riding that high line, trying to carry as much speed as he can. Greg Evans kind of wrapping the bottom there, and Matt Sizzler is kind of rocking the white line as close as he can. Now Franco Alvarez and Greg Evans are going to swap lines there, going through turn number 1. Greg on the high side, Franco on the bottom, and that kind of closed the gap between Greg. He got a really good run through 1 and 2. He goes back on the bottom through 3 and 4. He's got a really good run through the corner here.
He does indeed. Greg Evans pulls right up on the back of Franco Alvarez. Can he do anything with that 41 as they go through turns 1 and 2? Evans will drop it to the low side. He's going to go for the lead.
He's got a fender alongside, but Franco's going to have the momentum on the high side. He's going to clear him as they get to corner exit. Greg's going to have to slot back about a car length behind. Matt Sizzler still kind of patiently 1 to 2 car lengths back of Greg Evans. But the more they have battled right in front of him, the more that's going to allow not only Matt Sizzler to catch up, but the likes of Kendall Paul, Justin Osborne, and Trevor Ryan all to gain on this lead battle here.
He does. Greg Evans is not successful in his bid for the lead. He'll drop a car length or 2 behind Franco Alvarez, but he starts mounting that charge one more time down the backstretch. Sizzler about 5 car lengths back in third, but he started to close the gap up to Greg Evans. Evans wraps the bottom through 3 and 4. Alvarez high, and that's going to allow Evans to close right back up on the deck lid of Franco Alvarez. 65 of 200 are in the books. Do want to thank everybody for joining in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel so that you can get in on all of the iRacing fun. You're watching the Never Forgotten 300 for the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series live on P1. We've got a challenge for second now. Evans in the middle groove and Sizzler hunting for a position low.
Yeah, one thing I was kind of noticing that Greg Evans, he was kind of riding the high line through 1 and 2 to try to get the momentum to get Franco Alvarez going into turns 3 and 4. You still see him do that. He's riding the high line through 1 and 2, try to carry as much speed as possible, going on to the back straightaway. And it's not really working out at the moment. He's dropped back quite a bit from Franco Alvarez, and that's kind of allowed the likes of Matt Sizzler, Kendall Paul to close that gap just a little bit to the front 2 here. Although it's just as I say that, Greg Evans has bridged that gap just a little bit.
He will attempt to bridge that gap, but he isn't quite successful. The front 3 are all now 3 to 5 car lengths apart. Kendall Paul is still battling Justin Osterman, although he's pulled away from Osterman a little bit. Just as I say that, Osterman pulls right back up to the rear of Kendall Paul, and we're going to have a battle for fourth. Osterman is there. He's got a fender, Caleb, maybe? He
He's
does.
got more than a fender, a lot more than a fender as they go into 1 and 2.
He's got a fender. He's got a wheel. Justin Osterman drops below Kendall Paul, but he can't quite make it stick. I think the tires are getting a little bit too worn out now for that inside line to be the way to go. And Justin Osterman gets it way loose coming off of turn number 2. He'll fall immediately into the clutches of Trevor Ryan.
Yeah, Trevor Ryan, another driver that was very, very strong at Dover. And he's riding just outside of the top 5 here. And he wants to get a really good result. Again, he was very dominant at Dover the majority of the day. Got himself into an incident just kind of like Matt Sizzler did. And both those guys want redemption. They showed they had really good pace in the past couple races. They're showing very good pace here today, and they want to get their first wins of the season.
There's a battle for 7th behind them. Sam Crow on the high side. Mark Paget on the bottom. It's the nearest battle for the highest battle for position. But just like Osterman, just like Trevor Ryan, they can't quite make the inside work. Ryan's working on Osterman now for the 5th spot.
It could be a case scenario here, Murph, where maybe Osterman has a little bit worse of wear on tires, although as I say that, he's still able to keep the momentum going through 3 and 4 to still be alongside Trevor Ryan. They're still side-by-side going through the dog legs. Trevor trying to make that inside work, but nobody really has been able to get an efficient inside pass yet. We'll see if Trevor's able to clear him off of 2. No, they're still side-by-side going on to the backstretch.
Justin Osterman stays in front of Trevor Ryan. I believe that you're kind of right on the tires for Justin Osterman. There's 1 tap from Trevor Ryan. We're going to go to the 3-tap method. 1 is I'm here. If you hit him again, that means I want through. And the 3rd one usually means you're around backwards because I've gone through. But Trevor Ryan with the tap on Justin Osterman, letting him know that he's there and he's faster. Osterman continues to hold the bottom line, though, as we work 73 complete, or 73, lap 73, 72 complete, 73 is ongoing. Do want to point out another car that's a little bit further back. Mike Rigney in the John Van Varela special. There are several cars that started in the back. David Dunwoody right in front of this train. He is in the 11th spot. Mike Rigney started this race 27th. He's made up 13 spots. He's looking at the Tabasco fiasco of Vance Fisher in front of him. And so Mike Rigney's started to come forward here, Caleb.
He is indeed. Greg Evans has slotted himself into first place at the moment. He's gotten around Franco Alvarez, and that's allowed Matt Sizzler to close back on the rear end of that number 1 machine of Franco. And it's kind of spread out over the last couple of laps here. Franco, he's been riding that high line, but now he's in the dirty air. Greg Evans kind of runs about half a lane up, but Franco kind of showing that his tires are a little bit worn at the moment.
It's definitely going to change the way you drive it, Caleb. If you've been leading and you get a car in front of you, I don't care if it's an Indy car, I don't care if it's a stock car, you get another car in front of you and you're used to having the clean air on the nose. Alvarez hits it hard coming off of turn number 4. It is definitely going to alter the way the car handles, alter the way it drives, and Alvarez has started to fall back now. He's 0.3 of a second behind Greg Evans. Evans has started to kind of, and there you see the gap, he has started to really kind of sod away from Franco Alvarez. Last time through a full 0.1 of a second quicker than the number 41.
Yeah, and this is typical Greg Evans fashion. We always see him. He's very patient early on the starts and just bides his time as much as possible, try to save his tires as best as he can. And right now, that's what you saw him do. He's saving his tires, and now he has the mid to late run pace over the course of a green flag stint.
Well, and that was something I was going to talk about too. I think for Justin Osterman, it's a situation where he's very good on the short runs, and that first stage very much catered to Mr. Excitement because you had a few cautions in there to break up the run. Now that we have not yet, knock on wood, Caleb, had a caution in the second stage, and that has not worked out for Sergio Abella, by the way. He is down in 17th nearly a third of a lap down. But for Osterman, it kind of masked his problems on long runs by having those cautions in that first stage. He was able to stay near the front. He was able to cool his tires off, and then immediately put the hammer down and go hard for 4 or 5 laps, cool them off again. That's not the case here. He's had to run long. He's got 11 laps to go until the stage break, and honestly, he's started to slip. He started to slip back quite a bit. He's a couple of tenths off the leader's pace. But Trevor Ryan is also going pretty slow. It is worth pointing out the teddy bear, Ted Craven, was very slow. He is on pit road, and I'll bet Troy Carricker is saying stay there because Carricker wants to get another lap back. There is also a fight right behind these guys: Sam Crow, Mark Paget, John Hutchins, all in a line. They've been racing hard. They've got Crash Neon that's latched onto their group. Mike Rigney has now caught Vance Fisher. He's got Joshua Siegfried with him. And then another guy we haven't really talked about all that much today, just very quietly riding in 15th, keeping his car clean, the Marty Robbins special, Rick D. Fallas. He's right there in the 15th spot. Behind him, you've got Lee Campbell. He's a couple of seconds back. There's Lee Campbell. In 16th, Sergio Abella. 17th, Christopher Logan. In the 70 is 18th, Robert Smith is 19th. Randy Dunlap was involved in early contact. He is 20th. Ryan O'Donohue is 18 seconds back, and that car is still not fixed, Caleb. He's been working on it under every caution. Minute of repair here, minute of repair there. But he is something like a second and a half off the pace here.
Yeah, he is indeed. That first lap incident, and I did get a message from Mr. Old Logan Edwards, the old narc brain, and he says, the slightest bit of damage here, specifically at this track, just makes the car wicked loose. It just makes it feel like there is absolutely zero rear grip, according to him. So I guarantee you, O'Donohue is suffering the same thing. Any sort of wrinkle on the body, even the smallest tap that bends the body, apparently makes the car very, very loose around this track specifically.
It can, and that's the thing, right? You want to keep the car clean. To finish first, you must first finish. And what is Logan doing tonight? Why isn't he in this race?
I believe he's playing Forza Horizon 6 at the moment.
Always something
him and the rest of basically the IndyCar community have been addicted to that game because it's not a rectangle.
And that's something that frankly we've talked about in weeks past, where we've seen some of the IndyCar guys show up at some of these league races and run one-offs. Not for any other reason, as we see Kendall Paul and Matt Sisler battle. This is the battle for third, but we've seen some of those guys show up in these races for no other reason other than it is not a rectangle. As much as we all love Indianapolis, we do it so much, and most of us can run around that place blindfolded. It's not something that we it's something that we need a break from, and so I can understand Logan wanting to get away from it. This is a great fight, scrap for third, though. Sisler on the bottom, Kendall Paul all the way up the top. You got to be careful of the wall. Meanwhile, you got Trevor Ryan has finally got to the inside of Justin Osterman, and in the background we saw Crash Neon just smoke the wall at the exit of turn number 4. So we've got all sorts of things going around. Kendall Paul, he's in the Kyle Larson line. He is unless you don't run that high unless your name is Larson, Gant, or Earnhardt Jr. You couldn't have fit a sheet of paper between the wall and that car, Caleb.
No, you could not. And, we talked, you said how Indianapolis, it kind of burns out these IndyCar guys. Well, Charlotte's kind of the same way for all these guys out on this track. This track is ran a lot in a lot of leagues. Basically, it feels like it's on whatever, stock car league you're on, whether it be this, the street stocks, trucks, any sort of league runs this track pretty frequently, and I guarantee you these guys, whenever they come here, kind of feel a very similar fatigue that we do in the IndyCars with Indianapolis, especially considering that this week is the Coke 600 week. So, and I guarantee you a lot of guys.
This and Daytona, I think, for the stock car guys, because they're on every official schedule. They're a part of every league schedule. Then you get kind of. You maybe get kind of a maybe sort of break, and then in July we'll go back to Daytona and run the Firecracker. I think we should do that, Caleb. You and I should run the Firecracker broadcast race together.
That would be interesting, but the one thing with Daytona is that you don't really grind in terms of set practice, in my opinion. At least with Charlotte, you grind to get, there's at least some input, whereas Daytona, it's keep the foot flat, and then you're just doing basically wind tunnel testing from there.
You've got that just about right. We're watching the battle between Mr. Excitement, Justin Osterman in 5th, Trevor Ryan 6th. Sam Crow has joined that fight. John Hutchins hard in the wall. He saved it. Sam Crow is going to drop to the inside of Trevor Ryan now. Move Sam Crow into that 6th spot. Maybe not so fast. Caution
is out.
Is on the Speedway, and that has been the end of Black Magic Studios stage number 2. The admin box caution comes out. At Black Magic Studios, they're a small operation dedicated to high-quality iRacing paints and wraps for any vehicle. Visit them on Discord or Facebook for your next high-quality iRacing paint. I can personally vouch for the quality of Black Magic Studios paints. When I race, it is behind the wheel of a Black Magic Studios wrapped Dallara IR18. Greg Evans will claim stage number 2. And just like before, we are going to see wholesale pit stops. Critically, 2 things happened in that stage. Robert Smith and Randy Dunlap went a lap down. So Ted Craven and Troy Carricker are going to remain 4 and 6 down respectively. Ryan O'Donoghue maintained his position on the lead lap barely. He was 20 seconds behind the leaders. It is a 30-second lap, so he was nearly a lap down. He'll be able to come down and get another minute worth of repair and a fresh set of tires. Sergio Abella made the distance in the stage on the tires he got in the caution previous to the stage break before, so he did not lose a set of tires on that strategy. He does run 17th. Here's Sergio, and it didn't really cost him all that much. He started 16th, so he's about where he started, and he did have a chance to lead some laps. And now everybody will stream down the pit lane, Caleb.
They will indeed. They should be taking their 3rd set of tires here. They'll still have 2 over the wall after this, and that's going to raise some strategy here. That allows a lot more opportunity of, hey, when do I want to take that final set of tires? Because
Kendall Paul overshot his pit, Caleb. I didn't want to interrupt you, but Kendall Paul overshot his pit. That could be huge for Kendall Paul. Away they go. Greg Evans and Sergio Abella drag race off pit road. It's going to be Greg Evans with the lead off of the pit road. Kendall Paul, he went from 4th to 9th on that exchange. Meanwhile, let's check back in on Ryan O'Donoghue. He continues the pole sitter after smacking the wall on lap number 1. He sits in pit lane and continues repair to that 14. Now, did the old narc brain tell you whether or not the car can be completely fixed? Is this something where Ryan O'Donoghue is basically stuck with it like this, or is he going to be able to get it fixed?
Well, I guess it depends on how long the damage is. In these, if you ever take damage, the car's never really truly repaired, at least in the oval side. So it's going to be a situation of what kind of damage he has and what's able to actually be repaired. I think it could be a situation where he could get the majority of it repaired, but possibly not all of it.
He's taken at least 5 minutes of repair, and there he goes. The back still sporting some wrinkles on that number 14 machine. Teammate Greg Evans is your leader as the lights go out on the pace car, and they'll start lining up 2 by 2. The final stage is going to line up like this. Evans and Alvarez on row 1, Sizzler and Trevor Ryan row 2, Osterman Crow row 3, Mark Paget, Kendall Paul row 4. John Houchins and David Dunwoody will make up row 5 in the final bit of the top 10. Mike Rigney has snuck into the 11th spot. The Tabasco Fiasco of Vance Fisher is 12th. Rick Fowle is 13th. Lee Campbell 14th. Christopher Logan 15th. Sergio Abello right back where he started in 16th. Crash Neon 17th. Joshua Siegfried 18th. Ryan O'Donohue will line up 19th. And then the lap cars of Robert Smith, Randy Dunlap, and Ted Craven 1 lap down. Robert Smith 2 laps down. Randy Dunlap 3 down. Troy Carricker 5 down. Ted Craven 6 in arrears. Sean Roberts is 15 laps down, still circulating. Andrew Gates is on the pit lane. He has been there for 16 minutes. He is still in the session. Donald Green, Eric Corder, Joshua Zorn. Say Hey Lewis Hayes and Brian Sharp have all ejected from the session out of the race as we get ready to restart. Stage 3 at Charlotte is upon us.
Green flag is out, and Greg Evans gives a really nice jump over Franco Alvarez. Alvarez immediately to the bottom, but he's got Matt Sizzler all over the back of him. Trevor Ryan slots into that 4th place position. They're still side by side trying to figure out that 5th place spot. Sam Crow on the high side, or Justin Osterman, is on the high side. Sam Crow on the bottom, and it looks like Mr. Excitement just able to edge out Sam Crow going into 3. And a big contact right in front of him. Matt Sizzler's around. Trevor Ryan's on the bottom.
We've got a track blocker. There's going to be a bunch of cars involved here. Mike Rigney hard into Matt Sizzler. Collects Sergio Abella. That's Joshua Siegfried. And the bottom there in the wall, a ton of contact. And the caution, the admin box caution is out. Sam Crow spun his car down the pit lane. He's going to have a black flag. We've got meatballs for Osterman, Sizzler, and Mike Rigney. Big time accident here at the start of stage number 3, and let's get in the blimp and see if we can't sort this one out, Caleb. You see Sam Crow and you see Sizzler and Siegfried, or Sizzler and Ryan racing hard. Sam Crow nowhere to go. Osterman gets sideways atop him. Crow doesn't hit anything. He just gets knocked down pit road, and then the melee is on. David Dunwoody, Houchins, hard in the Osterman, hard in the Paget. We need to look and see, did Vance Fisher does hit the outside wall. Does Rick Fallis hit anything? Rick Fallis might have snuck through that unmolested. Same for the 60 of Lee Campbell. David Dunwoody had hard contact. What about Kendall Paul? Looks like he got a piece of that with Matt Sizzler. And this is we're going to go back. I'm going to go back because I want to sit in the car of Matt Sizzler and just kind of show the people at home what this is like from the inside of a racing car. It is not fun, Caleb.
Yeah, no matter where you slice it, this is not a fun situation for anybody.
It's not. Matt Sizzler chimes in. He says it's fixable, but he's frustrated. And we can certainly understand that. There's one hit, and he's just, at this point, he's just a passenger. 2 hits. He's going to get hit again right here. Poor Matt Sizzler, 3 times he got whacked in that mess. He never hit the wall critically, but just got ping-ponged around. Justin Osterman has ejected from the session. He will be classified 24th in the race. Mike Rigney has also climbed out of his car, so he'll be 24th. Osterman 23rd. Ryan O'Donohue critically back on the pit lane for additional repair. And I'm kind of judging the amount of repair done on Ryan O'Donohue's machine just by looking at that right rear corner. It's still kind of crinkled in, but it's a little bit more straight than it was. He gets back out. Still some damage on the right front. Sam Crow has had his black flag cleared. He was knocked down pit lane, so no penalty. Crow is going to get himself fixed up. He had a little bit of contact. David Dunwoody has the front of his Chevrolet wrinkled. There, he sits under repair. Matt Sizzler has gone back out. There's the Three Birdies Toyota. The front end still kind of beat up on that machine. So a lot of good race cars, more or less torn up in that one. That's going to hand the lead back to Franco Alvarez. Greg Evans is second. We've got a new cast of characters behind them, though, Caleb.
Yes, we do indeed. Rick Fallis, Lee Campbell, and Crash Neon, guys that really haven't been inside, not only the top 10, but just kind of lurking inside or battling around the top 15, now find themselves with that opportunity of getting a very nice top 5 finish.
They are, Caleb. We're just about approaching the halfway point. Sergio Abella has now retired his machine, so 3 more cars gone. We're going to have 21 running when we get back to the green flag.
Green.
19, because Smith and Dunlap, Robert Smith, Randy Dunlap, are under significant repair. David Dunwoody still sits on pit road. He did not answer the green flag. Franco Alvarez did. Franco Alvarez reaches out and races away. Crash Neon, Rick Fallas, Lee Campbell, they're having a dispute over third.
Crash Neon on the inside of Rick Fallas. Rick Fallas running the top there. And what's interesting is that they got Trevor Ryan, a guy that's been lurking inside the top 5 all night. But it looks like Trevor Ryan, he had a little bit of damage from that incident earlier. Let's see if he's able to keep moving forward here and try to get onto the podium places here.
We'll see. Crash Neon, Lee Campbell have made their way past Rick Fallas, and Rick Fallas now, so too Trevor Ryan. He's going to have the challenge from the 70 of Christopher Logan. John Houchins, and Fallas hits the wall a little bit. John Houchins has had an eventful day. He's had some contact himself. John Houchins runs along in the 8th spot. Kendall Paul, with 1 minute and 2 seconds of repair, is in 9th. And give a call down to Ryan O'Donohue. He is stuck with this thing. He's now only about 0.2 of a second down on pace, but Ryan O'Donohue is stuck with it. The more damage he fixes, the quicker that car gets. And hey, with all of the wrecks running around out there now, Ryan O'Donohue's got a chance to salvage a top 10 and maybe even more out of this event, Caleb.
He does indeed. Ryan O'Donohue was actually last place at the end of the lap number 2. I'm looking at the battle for second there. Crash Neon looks up the inside of Greg Evans for the second place spot, able to get around him and slot himself into second. Now he's on pursuit of Franco Alvarez in front. But like you said, Ryan O'Donohue, he's had a bit of he had a rough day from the outset. And now, just because of, attrition alone, he just dropped outside the top 10, but is still, battling within inside the top 10. Completely turned his day around to get a semi-decent result for him.
Yeah, and that's part of endurance racing, Caleb, is keep it out there, keep circulating, keep working on it. You never know what the future holds. And Ryan O'Donohue, give him another caution or two. He might get that baby fixed. I'll tell you who's got their car running good as Crash Neon. He's going to dive to the bottom of Franco Alvarez, and we're about to have a new leader.
Crash Neon looks very racy. Franco Alvarez hitting the wall there, or a very light tap there going through turn number 4, but that allows Crash Neon to be able to clear him going on through turns 1 and 2, but Franco Alvarez has got to run outside. Crash Neon closes the door. Franco tries to look back up the inside, but not able to get a good run here.
He can't do it. Just on the right-hand side of your screen, occasionally you're going to see Greg Evans. Write that down because we can go 50 to 60 laps on a tank of fuel. Just wait for Greg Evans. He will start clawing that gap back. We've got a car blinking on the inside. Can't identify that one. It's traveling very slowly. That would be Randy Dunlap, I believe. But Crash Neon, he's shown some really good short run speed, and there he is out leading Franco Alvarez. But give it 20 laps. I'd be willing to bet the Deuce is going to be right back knocking on the door here, Caleb.
It's a story that we've seen over and over again with Greg Evans. He's always very, very patient at the beginning of these stages, at the beginning of the races, or any restart in general. And that's just because he knows he has to take care of the tires, and that's just the thing with these stock cars. The better you're able to take care of the tires over a long run, well, you're gonna be probably in the lead at this thing if you do it better than anybody else.
Yeah, Franco Alvarez back around Crash Neon, and so Alvarez will lead it. And I wonder if Crash just made that move to see if he could, more or less, and then said, "Okay, I'll drop back and." I'll drop back and allow this to continue on with Franco Alvarez in the lead. Although Neon's hanging right in there with him, Caleb. Think maybe he's going to school a little bit.
It could be, Crash Neon coming off a win in the Truck Series at Dover last week, and we heard how excited he was after that one. I'm sure he wants to try to get his first Grand National win as well. But the guy right in front of him, a new face in this league, he's been, very, very quick ever since he showed up. But he's still yet to win here in the Grand National Series. So we got, first and second place who have not won a race here in AMA or in the Grand National Series. And the guy right behind them, well, he's number 2 all time in wins with 18. Although it's been a little while since Greg Evans has won a race. The last race he won was the Bristol Spring race back a couple months ago at this point.
Yes, it was. And so, kind of keep that in mind too. We're riding along with Crash Neon, and you can tell he's wanting to follow right in the tire tracks of Franco Alvarez. He's going to pull to the inside now, going into turn 3. Crash Neon make a bid for the lead, but look what's coming. Greg Evans is pulled now back up to these two leaders, and he's brought Lee Campbell with him.
Yeah, Greg doing what he does best, being very, very patient early on, save the tires, and then it's hammer time about 10 to 15 laps in, and that's what we're starting to see here. Crash riding that bottom, Franco Alvarez on the top, and Greg riding even higher than Alvarez is at the moment, but that he's kind of allowing Lee Campbell to look a fender on the inside of his left rear quarter panel, but not able to quite get alongside on the corner exit.
He isn't, but now Crash Neon has the fender alongside Franco Alvarez, but he can't quite complete that pass. And I think now with 20 some odd laps on the tires, Caleb, it's getting to the point where the inside is just no longer going to be effective to try to make the pass. You're going to want to be up top here.
Yeah, and that's what you're seeing, Franco Alvarez. And Alvarez has been, we've seen him basically on the high side the entire night, apart from a very few moments. We brought that up a couple times already. But Franco Alvarez holding that high line, just trying to carry as much speed as possible, like we said. And he's just, if he knows he can hold the outside and defend it very, very well, why would you go to the bottom, I guess? Why change if it or why change something it's not broke? I guess.
That's a great point. Do want to point out the top 9 are all more or less right in a conga line. Sam Crow is 10th, 4 seconds back, and that's where you start getting seconds between cars. Then Joshua Siegfried 11th, Vance Fisher 12th, Mark Paget 13th, Ryan O'Donohue 14th. Matt Sizzler just went a lap down here, Caleb. So that car not handling to his liking after the accident, wasn't able to get it all the way fixed. Either he or Crash Neon kind of smacked the wall a little bit coming off of turn number 4. Franco Alvarez is in control and pretty much the top 9 content to run out the string. We're 23 laps into the run. When would you anticipate a pit stop here, Caleb?
Well, the absolute minimum you need to hit would be lap 130 to make it to the end. It still would be a fuel save at that point. We estimate you could probably do 65 laps full push in these Grand National cars, maybe 70 if you got the draft, but at least 130 would be a safe call. Would be the bare minimum they would have to hit in order to come down pit road and make it to the end on just that one stop.
And there you go. I would think you're probably going to see some people stretch it out even to 150 just to try to be more comfortable on that final run and try to gamble and see if there's going to be a caution flag. I'm looking at Rick Fallis, Christopher Logan, John Houchins, guys toward the back half of that top 10. Kind of just wait and see. Greg Evans is looking on Crash Neon, but that'll be the thing. And is there going to be a caution in the pit stop cycle? With only 21 cars out on the track, we've eliminated a third of the field here, Caleb. Crash Neon's going to make a bid for the lead as Greg Evans has made it a 3-way fight.
Crash looking up the inside again. Franco on the high side. We've seen this old same song and dance. Franco able to clear Crash Neon on the outside, but that allows Greg Evans to move himself into second. And now this is the battle of, basically a lead of what we've seen already. Greg Evans and Franco Alvarez. Greg Evans on the bottom, Franco on the top. They're still side by side going through the dog leg.
Greg Evans got a massive run down the hill in turns 3 and 4. He'll lead at the stripe. Alvarez is going to try to fight back on the outside. Evans is going to clear him, and critically, they're about to put a lap on Ryan O'Donohue. Nearly contact. O'Donohue pulls down to the bottom of the speedway to let the leaders through. Great sportsmanship and great move by Ryan O'Donohue to let that happen. But with that, Franco Alvarez got back to the lead, Caleb.
Well, he did get back to the lead, but it seems like they're just swapping at the moment. Greg Evans back in the inside, able to get that first place, but he washes up almost into Franco Alvarez. Go through turns 1 and 2. They're still side by side coming off the corner. Franco's got the run on the high side. Meanwhile, right behind them, Kendall Paul's got a run on Crash Neon, and he's able to slot himself into third.
Moved Kendall Paul to third. He's joined the party. So, too, is Trevor Ryan in fifth. They've got some space back to John Houchins in sixth. Lee Campbell seventh. Rick D. Fallis 8th. Christopher Logan P9. The battle is at the front, though, Caleb. Greg Evans owns the top spot one more time.
He does indeed, but Franco trying that cutback on corner X. I've seen him do that a couple of times where he sends it really high in 1 and cuts it down hard on the exit of 2. And this time he's on the bottom. Greg Evans defending the top, an inverse of what we've seen the entire night. And they got lap traffic here, Murph, and we've seen that already affect how the running order has been. It seems like Franco Alvarez last time around was able to get advantage of going around Ryan O'Donohue. Oh, it's gonna get really tight with the lap car. That's gonna hurt him this time though.
Yeah, Franco Alvarez had to check up for Mark Paget. That's gonna allow Greg Evans to kind of scoot away by about 6 to 7 car lengths. Franco Alvarez now has a rearview mirror full of Kendall Paul. Trevor Ryan is 4th. Crash Neon has dropped back to 5th, and Neon is starting to lose this front pack, Caleb.
Yes, he is. We saw him push very early on. Could have been a situation of where he might have cooked his tires a little bit. So he is, going to fall back a little bit. He needs to only make it about another 7 laps after this one to make that minimum fuel window. So he's still going to just lose a little bit more time the longer he's out on these set tires to try at least an undercut strategy.
He is, and that's going to be the key. That's what we're waiting on. 124 started of 200. Do want to thank everybody for joining in. You're watching the Outland Custom Arms AMA Grand National Series live on the P1 Broadcasting channel. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel so that you can get in on all of the iRacing fun right here on P1. We'll be back tomorrow night to do the trucks here, and then mercifully, well, we're gonna have Saturday afternoon. It'll be the iRacing IndyCar Series from Indianapolis. We've already heard that that's going to be some interesting weather for that race. And then everybody will immediately get in their cars and drive to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Sunday, the Indianapolis 500, there will be no activity on P1, Caleb. None. Because we will all be
it's because we will all be at the race.
We will all be at the race. Of course, there's a big dinner Gary Godso gives for everybody that comes into town the night before the race. It's at his place out in Westfield. I unfortunately I have to miss that because my daughter has a dance recital. Monday, as a reminder, there will be no officials shown due to the Memorial Day holiday. Those have been moved to Wednesday. Kendall Paul is trying to move. He's moving to the inside of Franco Alvarez. That's the battle for second. He's got the nose there, but he couldn't quite keep it, Caleb.
No, he could not. Kendall, he's the first car in the running order that has a little bit of damage from that massive pile up early on in stage number 3. It doesn't look like he's suffering from any of it. He still has a little nick on the right front though, but other than that, he's got a very fast race car right now, and inside the top 3, hunting the back of Franco Alvarez, but he's got a mirror full of Trevor Ryan.
He does have that mirror full of Trevor Ryan. Kendall Paul looked like he was going to take the challenge to Franco Alvarez for second. Instead, he's fallen into a spot where he may lose third. Trevor Ryan has rallied nicely right to the rear bumper of Kendall Paul. They do battle down the backstretch, separated by a little bit less than a car length.
Yeah, and they've actually allowed Crash Neon to come back into this picture. He was about 4 to 5 car lengths back. Now he's only 1 to 2 back of Trevor Ryan, but it's going to ebb and flow here, Murph, until we get these first round of pit stops.
It will. The only sure thing that we've seen thus far is that Greg Evans has slowly started to pull away. He's built about a half a second advantage. There's Greg Evans, and you can see it. It's up to about 10 to 15 car lengths now as they pull in. They're going to put a lap on Ted Craven here. Mark Padgett, Ryan O'Donohue, and Matt Sisler run 1 lap down. Troy Carricker was involved in that lap 1 incident that was started with Ryan O'Donohue grazing the wall. Carricker has made it back to 4 laps down, Caleb. That in and of itself is remarkable. He's made back half the laps that he lost in that first race affair. Meanwhile, this is kind of an important thing we're watching. Matt Sisler and Ryan O'Donohue are racing. Ryan O'Donohue smacked the wall again. He's pulled that car to the apron. I think Ryan O'Donohue has meatballed the tires on that car. I think is the situation. And talk about that a minute. What does it take to meatball a tire, Caleb?
Well, when you have damage like Ryan O'Donohue, he could just have a massive fender rub to where it's just going to wear down the tires. In real life, it would cut a groove. I'm not sure if iRacing actually simulates that to where you can see it on the tire, but if you got a bent fender and that's rubbing against the tire, you're going to cut a massive groove into it, and eventually you're just going to see the cords or even completely, shred the tire completely open by having a fender rub, and that's probably what we've seen, at least a virtual version of what happened to Ryan O'Donohue with possibly either his right front or his right rear.
Do want to point out Trevor Ryan has moved around Kendall Paul, and Crash Neon is looking to do the same. So move Trevor Ryan to third, Kendall Paul to fourth, and he's about to lose that to Crash Neon. The way that they do it, in an open wheel car, you can see the graining on the tires and you can see the cords. We pointed that out in broadcast. You can't do that here. You can't visibly see the tires wear, but the way that iRacing does it is with heat. So let's say you've got, let's say that you've had contact. Matt Sizzler, you caught him kind of in a bad spot there. Sizzler gets out of the way. Not his fault, for sure, as we watch the battle for fourth between Kendall Paul and Crash Neon. Greg Evans now 1.2 seconds ahead of Franco Alvarez. But what it'll do is it'll superheat one side of the tire. So it'll act as if the car is extremely towed in or out, and it'll wear 1/3 of the tire down to zero. Does that make sense?
It does.
So it'll superheat it, and then it'll wear the tread on that corner, whichever corner it wants to simulate, down to zero. And then once you get to zero, you get the meatball. You have to respect that, come in and pit. Ryan O'Donohue remains on pit road. He's been there for 1 minute and 20 seconds and counting. And so he was hoping to be able to make it to the end. But when you start meatballing tires, you basically you have to come in and fix the whole thing now, Caleb.
Yeah, it just goes to show that the tires, they can't. If let's see, he's about 40 laps on this set of tires. He's gonna have to pit at that rate at least another stop after that if he doesn't get that damage repair. So you may as well just at this point, if you're gonna go multiple laps down, just repair all the damage you can and try to salvage any positions you can throughout the race. Meanwhile, we have a 3-wide moment. Trevor Ryan and Franco Alvarez, they went side-by-side with Vance Fisher off the turn number 4. They're still side-by-side going through the corner.
Yeah, and they've got another lap car in front of him. That's the 11 of Robert Smith. Smith is 11 laps down, and he's got the battle for second right behind him, and he did not yield there to those two leaders. They're going to have to find a way around Robert Smith. You'd like to see the 11 just say, hey, look, I've got the battle for second place behind me. I'm going to kind of check up and get out of the way. He is on his own lap, by the way. Ted Craven is a lap ahead of him, and Randy Dunlap 2 laps behind him. And so they go side by side for second one more time. Smith is keeping up with him, but it is influencing that race behind him. Mike Rigney checks in the chat. He says one day he'll finish an AMA race. He swears. We will hold you to that, Mr. Rigney. We will hold you to that. All this is doing, by the way, is allowing Greg Evans to just motor on away. Kendall Paul got in the fence a little bit that last time through. We continue to watch the battle for second. The 11 in front is laps down, not involved. The race is between Franco Alvarez and Trevor Ryan and Caleb. They've been out 47 laps now. We're nearing 50 laps on the run. It's going to be about time for one of these drivers to gamble and come get tires, because they are basically losing 1.5 seconds a lap to tires here.
They are indeed, and but if you do come down early, you open yourself up. If the caution comes out and you are a lap down from the leader, well, you're basically going to be, kind of stuck to where you will get your lap back due to the wave around if the leader does come down, if everybody does come down to pit. Franco Alvarez almost hitting the wall, trying to cut back on Trevor Ryan on the bottom. Trevor trying to hold that high side, but they still got the dirty air of that lap car, that number 11, Robert Smith, in front. Trevor trying to use that high line there. Franco on the bottom. This is an inverse of what we've seen the entire night between these two.
It is. Franco Alvarez able to hold that top spot. He gets really loose coming off turn number 2, and that is going to let Trevor Ryan swing the car to the inside one more time, and all this is done while these two continue to race furiously. Greg Evans now 2.3 seconds ahead, and that's brought Crash Neon into this fight. Alvarez hard in the wall. We've got a crash on the front. It's position. It's P2 and P3 hard in the wall. Caution is out. Caution is out. Does anybody hit them? I think the rest of the field is going to make it through, Caleb. Franco Alvarez caught. Franco Alvarez gets really loose coming off of turn 4. He hits the wall, comes down, and just barely catches the right rear of Trevor Ryan. From there, it's on. I don't think anybody else hit them. But caution, the admin box caution flies one more time, lap 142 of 200 complete here at Charlotte. Good work from the rest of the field getting through there, by the way. Charlotte well, and here's the thing. Charlotte looks wide. Both of those cars have the meatball. Well, Franco Alvarez has the meatball. So too Trevor Ryan. Ryan has towed. Alvarez able to get his car all the way back around. Greg Evans will continue to lead it. And I'd imagine that we're going to see everybody come down pit road here, Caleb.
I imagine so. You may as well take the free set of tires, and this is your opportunity to add as much fuel as you want to make it to the end here.
It is. Critically for Vance Fisher, this is going to put the Tabasco Fiasco back on the lead lap. He'll get the lucky dog, or at least he should, because he was not involved in that accident. Joshua Siegfried, unfortunately, or is it going to be? Yeah, it'll be Joshua Siegfried. Never mind. Belay that last, Caleb. Joshua Siegfried is going to get your lucky dog. So the top 10 will be on the lead lap. There goes Siegfried as we watch Greg Evans come to the attention of the Sim Magic number 2 pit crew. There he is. Pulls it into the box. Kendall Paul slides to a stop in front of him. Alvarez came straight to the pit lane. He entered the closed pit. He'll get a black flag for that. I don't think it matters, though, because he has significant damage to the 41, the meatball. Evans already off of pit lane. And here comes the rest of the field. Rick Fallas. Nice stop. He's going to be up to third, Caleb.
Yeah, you got really, really good jump there from Rick Fallas. Slots just behind Crash Neon. Crash Neon able to get around both Kendall Paul, or able to get around Kendall Paul on that pit cycle. So we'll see. These two did a little bit of dueling early on in the stage. We'll see if the story changes this time around, whether or not Crash Neon is able to get into the lead and able to keep it this time.
We will see. David Dunwoody is still out on the track. So too is the 38 of Randy Dunlap and Ryan O'Donohue. So all of those cars are going to stay out. There are multiple laps down. O'Donohue 12, Dunlap 12. Dunwoody is 16 laps in arrears. They're going to stay out, use the wave round, get a chance to get back one of their laps. While we're under caution, do want to thank everybody for joining in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you can get in on all of the iRacing fun. Caleb and I will be back here tomorrow night for the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series, 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start. Saturday, it is the iRacing IndyCar Series round from Indianapolis. That'll be 500 kilometers starting at 2 o'clock. And then there is no race Sunday for the Indianapolis 500. We will all be there. Monday, it's going to be an off day for the channel. We have moved the two official races, the Indy Open Series and the Indy Next Road Series, to Wednesday night. So the next regular broadcast will be Tuesday, 8. The next regular broadcast after Saturday will be Tuesday, 8:15 for the IndyCar Fixed Oval Series. 8:15 Eastern on Tuesday, regular time. We are just about ready to go back to green. It's Greg Evans, Crash Neon, Rick Fallas, Kendall Paul, John Houchins, and Sam Crow, your top 6. Of that, really only the top 4 cars are without damage here, Caleb.
They are indeed. Green flag flies here at Charlotte. Greg Evans able to get a really good jump, crash Neon, still side by side with Rick Fowles, but he's able to clear him just before the dogleg going into turn number 1.
They are. Greg Evans shoots away to the lead. Crash Neon is sticking with him as best I think as Crash could have hoped. They've got a little bit of a gap back to Kendall Paul. Kendall Paul did have a little bit of damage on that Ford Mustang Dark Horse earlier. Rick Fowles hasn't hit anything, but he has been consistently slower. We've got contact in the back. That is,
I believe Joshua Siegfried.
Yeah, that would have been Joshua Siegfried shot through the infield, and there he is. Ryan O'Donohue goes around the outside of Siegfried. He's got new tires on. That car is fixed, and there's got to be some red mist under the helmet of that number 14 as he goes the inside of Robert Smith. None of this is for position, but O'Donohue is faster than the leader. Speaking of the leader, that's Crash Neon. He's gone around Greg Evans, and I kind of feel like we've seen this movie before, Caleb. Same song, different verse.
Yeah, we've seen this exact situation. Crash Neon slots himself into the lead. Last time around was Franco Alvarez, but Alvarez is now 4 laps down. This time he got around Greg Evans, and we're seeing the same old song and dance. Greg Evans being very, very patient on this early on in the restart, try to save his tires, and then it's go time with about 10 to 15 laps, probably 15 laps into a stint on the tires here.
They are, Caleb. Crash Neon leading Greg Evans, Kendall Paul, but look at John Houchins rally around the outside. Houchins, he's going for the 3rd spot. John Houchins, if he makes another couple of corners like that, he's going to be in the lead. Greg Evans is going to drive up to the top of the track to block him, and Rick Fowles has started to come too. I promise you, Rick Fowles, that car, the Marty Robbins special is clean. He is blinking a little bit, but he's got a shot to put that car on the podium here. He'll drive it up in the high groove to the outside of Kendall Paul. John Houchins is coming, and Fowles whacks the wall hard. He's going to hit it hard again. I should have never said anything, Caleb. Rick Fowles had one of the only cars that had not hit the wall today. As soon as I say that, he starts coming to the front and whacks the wall, and he hit it hard. Worth noting, Franco Alvarez and Trevor Ryan have now retired. So we're down to 19 cars on the track, 9 of them on the lead lap.
A race of attrition. We kind of said that recently a lot, haven't we?
Well, it's typical Charlotte. It is an endurance race, and this race is racing like more like the 24 Hours of Daytona than it is a NASCAR stock car race. Crash Neon sees Greg Evans drive underneath, move Greg Evans back to the lead, and Crash is immediately going to have John Houchins trying to get by him.
Yes, he does. John Houchins, on his best result recently, he won back in Talladega. That was his first ever AMA win. He looks like he won. He looks like he's getting very, very racing in the later portions of his race. Try to get career win number 2 here in the Grand National Series. He slots himself up to the second. Kendall Paul's going to try to follow him on the high side.
There you go. I appreciate the patience from everybody. My voice has started to go. John Houchins gets into the second spot. Crash Neon is going to lose third to Kendall Paul. He'll drive back to fourth. Sam Crow is quietly waiting in that 5th spot, Caleb. Sam Crow, he was involved in contact earlier, but Sam Crow has managed to get his car fixed, and he's up at the front looking to do battle. The automobile of Troy Carricker has had his trials and tribulations. He's 13th, 4 laps down, and that's got to be frustrating for him because he is just as fast as these guys. Unfortunately for him, he was caught up in a lap 1 accident. Poor Troy Carricker He's fought all day. He's made up 4 laps. John Houchins, he's thinking about making up the lead here.
Yes, he is. He's hounding the rear of Greg Evans at the moment, but Kendall Paul is also hounding his rear end. Meanwhile, Crash Neon and Sam Crow are going to go side by side through 1 and 2. Crash Neon on the high side, Sam Crow on the bottom. But Crash Neon able to just kind of prevail on that high side, just have the momentum. Crash Neon looks on the inside. Kendall Paul. Kendall went to the bottom there, almost through a block there, but he allows Crash Neon to have the space there.
I don't think that was almost a block. I think it was a block. Kendall Paul moves to the high side. Neon has now established position down there, and there's Sam Crow. Sam Crow with the best seat in the house. We're going to jump on board Sam Crow here, if I can find him in the list. There he is. Sam's got just about the best seat for this, and you look at him, and he started to shade to the outside of Crash Neon, and I got a feeling Sam Crow's not done here. You see Kendall Paul has dropped to the inside of John Houchins. I think Houchins went and burned the tires off of that 72 to get to the front. He's about to pay the price. Crow on the bottom, Neon about in the middle, John Houchins out high, and Greg Evans, well, he's doing what Greg Evans does at the end of these things. He started to gently pull away from the field as we ride in the passenger seat with Sam Crow. Do want to say hello, by the way, to one of P1's biggest fans, Shelby Carricker, in the house tonight. Thank you, Shelby, so much for being with us.
Yeah, you could really see how his John Hutchins in that 72 machine, his tires starting to fall off quite a bit. He's fallen to the likes of Sam Crow. Sam looking very, very racy inside the top 5 here. He's had a couple good results fall away from him. He's got himself into a couple of incidents over the past couple of races. He won the race back in Rockingham. That was his first career win. We had a lot of first career wins inside of the top 5. Crash Neon last time out at Dover in the Truck Series. John Hutchins at Talladega earlier on. Sam Crow, Rockingham, as we said. Kendall Paul and Greg Evans are the only ones. And meanwhile, those guys are going to go battle for the lead. Kendall Paul on the inside, Greg Evans on the outside. Crash Neon's going to try to follow Kendall on the bottom, but Greg able to prevail on that high side like we've seen the entire night here.
He has. Now, Greg Evans had gotten a little bit of a lead. He saw Kendall Paul coming on the high side, and so Greg Evans moved up into about lane 2.5 to shut that run down. Those two got to messing around with each other, and it's allowed Crash Neon to pull right back in and make this a 3-horse race. John Houchins is back in 4th, and you've got Sam Crow riding right around the rail in 5th. Houchins hits the wall. That's going to let Sam Crow get to his inside. Sam Crow is going to make a move here for 4th, Caleb.
Sam Crow on the bottom. John Hutchins try to keep his car in that 4th place position, but he's going to have to yield and give it up to Sam Crow. Sam Crow slots himself into that 4th place position. Meanwhile, I was just taking a look at Kendall Paul last time through. Through 1 and 2 is kind of right in that wall, like we saw in the middle of stage number 2. He's trying to do the old Kyle Larson line, as we say. This time he actually goes to the bottom, allows Greg Evans to go to the top. Greg Evans trying to carry the momentum as much as he can. Kendall Paul slots himself into 2nd. Crash Neon right behind him. And these guys, the gap is kind of maintained. Usually at this point, we start to see Greg Evans, and I'm sure it'll eventually happen. We usually start to see Greg Evans run away with the field at this point. But Kendall Paul and Crash Neon both hanging tough here in the late stages of stage number 3.
Yeah, Greg Evans a 10th quicker that time, but it's not been that way. Kendall Paul going to school on the veteran Greg Evans, and you got Crash Neon there. And Crash is hungry, and you also know that Sam Crow would love to put the only 2 DVD Motorsports cars left on the lead lap on the podium. Ryan O'Donohue from that powerful team still circulates 13 laps down. He won the pole, hit the wall on lap 1. He's been fighting ever since. So too Troy Carricker. Carricker went 8 laps down, Caleb, and he's going to be, if this finishes and he finishes where he is in 13th, he is going to be my driver of the race. He has 100% earned that honor. He went 8 laps down at the beginning, as you see Sam Crow make the dive on Matt Sizzler, and Sizzler is running around here 33,391, 33,308 that time. Ryan O'Donohue is the fastest car on the track right now. Unfortunately, he's 13 laps down. He is catching Randy Dunlap 2 seconds a lap. We might have a battle for 16th here before all this is over, Caleb.
Well, right as you say that, Ryan O'Donohue actually went to pit lane there. So Ryan O'Donohue possibly getting a new set of tires here before the end of the race here. Greg Evans still leads him. Kendall Paul in second, Crash Neon in third. The gaps still have maintained. Kendall Paul doing the Kyle Larson line as we see him do a large portion of this race here, especially in stage number 2. Greg Evans still kind of holding that the fourth line through 1 and 2, but running about half a lane up, going through 3 and 4. So it seems like everybody at this point in the race is just kind of trying as many different lines as they can give, depending on obviously the dirty air in front and how their tires are and where they're able to run that. Now you kind of see Greg Evans doing the Kyle Larson line through 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think there's some cat and mouse going on here. I think Kendall Paul wants to run up there. Greg Evans is running 2 things. He's running to a pace, and he's going up there for a couple of different reasons. The first is he wants to see if it's any faster for him as they approach the 22 of Mark Paget. Paget 11th, 1 lap down. He'll be 2 once the leaders pass him. But he's doing a couple of different things. One, he wants to see what that line is like, but he also wants to try to force Kendall Paul. He wants to try to force Kendall Paul to run somewhere that he doesn't want to. If somebody else is in your line and free air is available, you're going to take the free air, which is what Kendall Paul is doing. But I don't think Kendall is nearly as fast on the bottom as he is on the top, Caleb.
No, he is not, and you kind of see he's running the bottom through 1 and 2. He's still able to keep along, he's still able to keep pace with Greg Evans at the moment, despite, being forced to run that bottom through 1 and 2. He's been consistently at least running it through 3 and 4. Greg is still running about half a lane up consistently on both ends of the track every single lap, whereas Kendall is kind of experimenting, every air lap. Sometimes he'll run the bottom through 1 and 2. Sometimes he'll run the Kyle Larson line up against the wall. So he's kind of experimenting just to see, where the fastest line on the track is. And he's still able to keep on the rear end of Greg Evans for the lead, but he's not able to close that gap here. Well, right as I say, he gets a really good run through 3 and 4.
He does, but not quite enough. Meanwhile, Sam Crow, even though he's fallen back with Crash Neon, Sam Crow has not let third place out of his sight. Mike Rigney checks in. He says dirty air is a pretty big deal here, and I think that's half of what Greg Evans is doing. He knows Kendall Paul wants to be up on the top, so he's going to run up top and throw the dirty air up there. Neon put 2 lefts below the line there. That's going to loosen him up a little bit, and we're fixing to have a battle for third here, Caleb.
Yes, we are indeed. Sam Crow, he's currently in that 4th place spot. This is the best he's ran in quite a while here in the AMA. He's had a lot, like we said, a lot of unfortunate luck come his way in the recent races. But this is a very, very good running from him. He had to look up the inside of Crash Neon, thought better of it on the entry of 3. But Sam Crow, inside the top 5, this is his best run in a couple races here. He's got a run on the inside on Crash Neon, thinks better of it going through the dog leg. But this is a very good run for both Crash and Sam Crow. Both have had kind of, unfortunate luck on their side, and Crash able to win the race last week in the truck race, but Sam Crow, his only win so far is Rockingham this season in the Grand National Series. So both these guys have wins, this season in opposite series, but they've had a recent stroke of, bad luck over the course, of the past couple of races, despite, Crash winning at Dover.
Yeah, everybody in the top 5 has won a race in the AMA this year. So we're not going to see, I don't believe, a new winner today. Lee Campbell, first non-winner in the field. He is 6th. He is some 6 seconds behind the lead. 9 cars remain on the lead lap, although Joshua Siegfried is about to go a lap down. We're watching the battle for 3rd. The front 2 have more or less stabilized, about a quarter of a second between them, which translates to about 3 car lengths. The best battle on the track is 3rd. Got to watch out for that wall, though, Sam. He is trying, and he's trying to bring it. We've got 25 laps to figure it out. Can Crash Neon hold on? Can Greg Evans hold on from Kendall Paul? Are we going to get another yellow flag and jumble this whole thing up? We're about to find out, Caleb.
We are indeed. This battle for third and both first place and third place, it's kind of just maintain the gaps. The gap between both packs has been around 0.2 of a second for pretty consistently over the last 10 to 15 laps between those cars. But Greg Evans, Kendall Paul, they're both running 31.9s. In fact, their last time around was within 1,000th of each other. This time, Kendall Paul was actually a 400ths quicker that time. Crash Neon, Sam Crow, they're only separated by 15 thousandths of a second at the moment. They still have about 0.2 of a gap here. So these guys are running very, very similar lap times to the cars they're battling, but they can't really get an edge over the other besides, Greg Evans having track position, Crash Neon having track position over Sam Crow. And that's really the only difference between the pace of these cars and who's able to what's the determining factor of these at the moment is.
Yeah, they're about to catch Joshua Siegfried here. That'll put Siegfried 1 lap down. I suspect he will pull over and get out of the way. He has a huge advantage over Vance Fisher. He's almost a lap ahead of his nearest pursuer is Joshua Siegfried. So he has no reason to fight the leaders if there is a caution that comes out. Siegfried would get back on the lead lap. Kendall Paul is now starting to fall behind Greg Evans, make it nearly a half a second now, 10 car lengths. But Kendall Paul, I think his tires have started to give up. I think everybody's have started to give up. Again, these cars will lose between 1.5 seconds and 2 seconds a lap in pace over the course of a tire run. That would mean at 36 laps out there, Caleb, Greg Evans rubs the wall a little bit, but at 36 laps out here right now, we'll go back to Crash Neon. Well, he's about half a second up on Sam Crow. That would mean if we got a caution now for some reason, I think everybody would hit pit road. I don't think you're going to see anybody stay out.
I really doubt it, especially with it being less than 20 to go. Those new tires are just going to be so quick, especially at this point in the stage. If these tires were only 10 laps old, then maybe you could see somebody staying out. But even a track here at Charlotte, where the banking kind of, destroys the tires a little bit more and just kind of wears them down a little bit quicker than other places. Even 15 laps into the ascent, I would probably pit for a new set of Goodyear rubber, just because the pace difference and the drop off over the course of a run is just that massive. I did want to point out the gap between Crash Neon and Sam Crow did widen because, Sam Crow passed 2 times and even on this lap has hit the wall of turn number 4, and that's kind of slowing him down a little bit. He still maintained about 0.4 of a second gap, but he is understeering that turn 4 wall.
Yeah, you see the puff of smoke off of Sam Crow. We'll go get the camera on him, see if he gives it another whack this time through. He's still about half a second behind Crash Neon for the third spot, but that charge for Sam Crow has kind of started to fizzle out. He keeps it off the wall this time, but he's started to lose just a little bit to Crash Neon lap over lap, as has Kendall Paul on Greg Evans. And so Greg Evans right now, there's your gap, P1, P2, third and fourth, about a third of the back straightaway behind. As we cross the line to complete 184, we'll get 185. We'll have 16 laps to go this time through, and barring anything crazy, Kendall Paul hits the wall hard off of turn number 4. I mean, he hit that thing hard that time, Caleb. Barring anything wild, this is probably about how we're going to finish. There are no cars within contact of each other at this point in the race.
Yeah, that's typically how Charlotte always runs when you get these long green flag runs. You know, the field gets very, very spread out. The tires really fade here more than other tracks that we've gone to already in the season. And we've had a lot of attrition. That's had something to do with it. You know, there's only, 8 cars on the lead lap at the moment. And even then, inside the top 10, you have 2 cars that are a lap down, and everybody else is at least 2 to 3 laps at least. You know, inside the top 15, Ted Craven's 15th right now, and he's 12 laps down. So this race has been, it's been quite a war zone, we'll say, on these Grand National cars. And it just, when you get to this point in the race, where the cars are really spread out and you had a lot of attrition, that's what you typically see. The piles get fewer and fewer, and cars get very, very spread out, and fewer cars on track.
Yeah, it is. You do get a lot of longer runs. Greg Evans is the master of long runs. 187 complete start, 188. He's got some lap traffic ahead. That is the 11 of Robert Smith, the 73 of Vance Fisher. Smith kind of gets out of the way. He has not been one to he's raced the leaders hard sometimes when maybe racing them hard wasn't the most advisable thing to do. But he does get out of the way. Now he brings the car to pit road, and he about spun it out getting onto pit road. But Robert Smith continues on. Vance Fisher nearly puts his car, he does put his car on the wall trying to avoid Greg Evans. But without calamity, I think we've seen how this is going to finish. I'll get your prediction for Sunday out of the way so we don't delay the show at the end. Who do you have in the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500 on Sunday, Caleb?
Let's see. Predictions for the Indy 500. Well, one thing that is absolutely guaranteed, me and my old man will be drinking a lot of Michelob Ultra.
Very good.
We will there will be a 5-hour delay in the Coke lot to try to get out of that parking lot. I'm guarantee you we probably won't leave that parking lot until at least after 9. That's another prediction I have.
Probably not.
In terms of actual series predictions, I like to see one of the Meyer Shank cars have another really good result. Those guys have been, obviously with me being from Ohio, and I'd love to see Rosenquist pull off the upset, or Armstrong, or Castroneves getting his 5th one. I'd like to see one of those cars. I don't think that's the most realistic prediction. I think it's going to be probably Palou or Rossi. Those guys look really quick over the course of the week, so it's probably going to be one of them, but I'd like to see one of the Meyer Shank cars pull it off.
So I have several predictions about Sunday at Indianapolis, the first of which is that I will be home, parked, showered, and watching the World 600 on TV by the time you get out of the Coke lot. And mind you, I have a 2.5-hour drive. My second prediction is that I will consume far fewer Michelob Ultras than you do on Sunday. And the third is, to be truthful, I really like Santino Ferrucci in this one. I think you're going to see a winner not come from one of the power teams. I think it's going to be, I think it might be a year to see a Foyt winner at the Speedway, and I think Santino's got a really good car in traffic. The other car I'm kind of keeping my eye on is Connor Daly. He's got the fastest toe speed of the month, and his car has been able to slice through traffic nearly at will, as Greg Evans has tonight. Evans off of turn number 4. He's going to come down. We've got 7 laps to go here at Charlotte. Start 194 of 200, and it's all Greg Evans at the end. We've got a battle for third though. Crash Neon and Kendall Paul, door handle to door handle for the second spot. Literally, Caleb, you cannot fit a sheet of paper between those two cars as they go through 1 and 2. Kendall Paul maintains the position, but Crash Neon is trying to run second here.
Yeah, Crash Neon has really closed that gap. Or I guess he's maintained the gap to Greg Evans, and Kendall Paul is just kind of really fallen off. I'm guessing his tires are absolutely gone at the moment, and Crash has kind of saved his stuff a little bit better than Kendall, and he's right on the rear bumper, but doesn't have a fender quite yet like that run. We are 5 to go next time around. Crash Neon, that might have been his best chance to get around Kendall. He looks up the inside, but Kendall closes the door.
Now, how do you approach this, Caleb, if you're Crash Neon? You're anywhere between 2 and 3/10 of a second a lap quicker than Kendall Paul. How do you approach this? You're going to try to get under him. Do you give him the wiggle and put him off the track? Do you try to go to the outside? How are you going to approach this? He's working the outside line now. See if he can't claim the high ground. How would you do it?
I would do what he's doing now. Use that high line through 1 and 2. Try to carry as much momentum, and then cut it down hard on corner exit to try to get alongside here. If you know you're faster than the car in front, the inside line has been kind of shown that, the high line can get enough momentum and just carry the speed onto the straightaways and kind of like short track style a little bit at the higher bank short tracks. That's kind of how it's acting right now. If I was crashing out, I would do what he's doing right now. Get a really good run through 1 and 2 on the high side, cut it down hard, and carry as much momentum as I can going into 3. You see him do it right now. He's right there with Kendall Paul making contact to 3 and 4, but Kendall able to keep that position coming out of turn 4.
The amount of respect that these two are showing to each other is incredible. Not a sheet of paper between those two cars. I don't believe they touched. Kendall Paul all the way up at the high side. Crash Neon is on the bottom. Greg Evans is long gone. It's the battle for second that we're watching. Sam Crow has faded into 4th spot, about half the back straightaway behind. Can Crash Neon do it? He is much faster. You see him visibly gaining through the center of the corner and on exit. Kendall Paul drives it a little bit deeper. 2 laps to go at the line for Greg Evans. Battle for second. Kendall Paul has it. Crash Neon is faster in 3rd, and he wants it, Caleb. They're going to come down the back. He did not do the high-low that time. He used the bottom lane to close right up on the back of Kendall Paul.
Yeah, he might have maybe the bottom line is the quickest line at the moment. I'm starting to see a lot of those drivers in the late portion of this race as we come to the white flag lap. Greg Evans takes the white flag, so this is going to be the final lap. No green-white checker. Crash Neon trying to use that bottom line. He has a look on the inside. Kendall slow on the top. He is alongside. Does Crash Neon have enough momentum to get him on the back straightaway?
Critically, the lap car of Mark Paget was there. Fed some dirty air to Kendall Paul. We're going to be side by side going through turn number 3. They do touch on entry to turn number 3. It's Neon on the bottom, Kendall Paul on the top. They're going to come off at turn number 4. Here they come to the line. Greg Evans wins it. It's going to be Kendall Paul in 2nd. Crash Neon comes home 3rd. Sam Crow 4th, and John Houchins in 5th. That was a delightful battle for that top spot, Caleb, or for that second spot, Caleb. The winner is this man in the deuce, Greg Evans. He's going to coast back around and Greg Evans will have the chance to burn him down here. Memorial Day weekend has kicked off in the AMA with Greg Evans a winner at the Charlotte Motor Speedway in the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. He'll get the friendly bump from Sam Crow. This is your Rogue Energy winning moment. If you go to rogueenergy.com and use promo code AMA24, you get 10% off your order. So if you need a pick-me-up, rogueenergy.com, promo code AMA24 gets you 10% off. Greg Evans is going to do some donuts. And while he does those donuts, we're going to get ready, Caleb Brashear, to give the final results here at Charlotte. With the win, Greg Evans, Kendall Paul, a hard-fought second. Crash Neon brings it home, the final car on the podium. Sam Crow running the 000 comes home fourth, and John Houchins will finish a fine fifth. Lee Campbell, Christopher Logan, Rick Fallas round out the lead lap 6th through 8th. Joshua Siegfried 1 lap down in 9th. Vance Fisher comes home in 10th. 11th, it's Mark Paget. Troy Carricker finishes 12th. And Troy Carricker is going to be my driver of the day, Caleb. He made up 4 laps. 4 laps. He could have packed it in, finished last. He brings it home 12th. That is my driver of the day right there. Matt Sisler, 13th, 5 laps down. Ted Craven and Robert Smith, 14th and 15th, 13 down. Randy Dunlap off 14 laps. Sean Roberts, 17th, 15 laps down. David Dunwoody, 19 laps down. He's the final finisher. Ryan O'Donohue credited with 9th. He did retire the car. Franco Alvarez is 20th, also retired. 21st, Trevor Ryan, Justin Osterman, Sergio Abella, Mike Rigney, and Andrew Gates through 25th. 26th, Donald Green, then Eric Corder, Joshua Zorn, Say Hey Lewis Hayes, and Brian Sharp. Round out your 30-car field. I bet we've got some happy drivers in an interview room somewhere. And just as soon as I get things queued up, we're going to bring in Crash Neon. Crash, you've got Murph, you've got Caleb Brashear in the P1 broadcasting booth. You're starting to make this a habit in a car with fenders. That was a wild battle with Kendall Paul. Talk to us about your strategy there and what you think you might have done to be able to get that move done. He gets you at the line by about a foot.
Yeah, honestly, I was working my tail end trying to catch Clindo there. I saw he was fading a little bit. It's like, okay, maybe I might have something for him. And then when I tried to pass him on the bottom there, it just got extremely tight more than it was during the whole race. I was practically had my wheel all the way to the turn 90 degrees. I was trying to keep it off him the best I could. So I think maybe one more lap we could have had Clindo there, but I don't know. I was fighting a tight car all race long. I really had nothing for either Greg or Clindo, honestly.
You do wind up with third, and a hardly fought third it was. Caleb, what do you have for Crash this evening?
Well, it was a race of attrition, but I do want to note that you did shoot out to the lead a couple times there early on these restarts. Do you think that was a strategy call? Shoot out to the lead and then try to run away with it, or were you banking on a caution, or based on the pace that you had, that Greg Evans, did eventually get around you, but shooting out to the lead, did you know that the tires were eventually going to fade away, or did you think you could have that long pace run early on?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when I got up there and passed Greg a few times for the lead. I'm just like, okay, try to drive away best I can. Go, go, go. We have clean air. And then even in clean air, the car was like still extremely tight. Again, I was struggling all night. I could barely get that thing to turn. So I'm not sure what it is. Maybe the track temp was hot or something, or who knows. my mind is fried for the night. That's how hard I was trying to catch Clindo there. But yeah, just when we got to the lead, we were just hoping we could hold on to it with that clean air. But unfortunately, even in clean air, we were like still very, very tight. So yeah, it is what it is.
Well, I'll tell you what, even if you were fighting a tight car, it was a heck of a run, the third crash. Thank you so much for joining us in the booth. You know the drill by now. You get on the podium, you get the mic. Shout them out, my man.
As always, my first shout out is going to go to Ghost Energy. They were on board with the Gravedigger Ghost Energy Star Spangled Stars and Stripes, excuse me. My second shout out will go to God as well. All glory to God, Christ is King, and thoughts and prayers out to the Bush family, Samantha Bush, Baxter Bush. I believe I said his name correctly. I don't know. And rest in peace, Kyle Bush, the one and only Rowdy Bush.
We are all definitely thinking of Rowdy and his family this evening. The tragic news out of Charlotte, North Carolina today. Thank you so much for dropping in, Crash. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy. We'll see you at the next one.
Thank you.
That is Crash Neon. He's third today. For second, it's Kendale Paul. The patriotic paint scheme on the side of that Outland Custom Arms Archway Industrial Coatings Ford Mustang Dark Horse. You bring it home second. You had to earn that one, though. Crash was all over you at the end. Talk about that battle.
Yeah, that really had to work for it, and just the right front went away from me there. Battling with Greg, and we were just kind of talking about it there in the waiting room, is just you had to kind of aero block to keep the lead and that sort of stuff, and it was crazy how far we were just right on his bumper, and then I could feel the right front just going away, and it went away, and it went away fast, and there was little to no warning, and I kind of just made my bed there in second, fell in the clutches of Crash, and I really wanted it a second place tonight, so dug deep and found it, and just barely, I think by a couple hundredths, pulled off from Crash, so that was a really good battle between me and him, and really enjoyed that. It was probably as clean as it's going to be at Charlotte, it seemed like, because it seemed like when you get to the bottom of somebody, it just gets uber tight, and then it's the same thing on the top too. It was an interesting setup, an interesting aero package for Charlotte, and sort of glad this is kind of in the rearview mirror for us, and but man, it felt pretty good to finally ride right behind Greg there for the longest time, but just got to figure a few things out, and we're getting there on speed wise, so but yeah.
Mr. Brashear?
So I noticed you were rocking as well what me and Murph called the Kyle Larson line of running up against that wall there. And do you think that really did work, or do you think the bottom worked? We noticed you were kind of like mix matching the two over while you were chasing Greg Evans, or was it more so just to avoid the dirty air there?
It was a mixture of everything, really, because like I think what was it, stage 2, where I felt like I was like inches off the wall and really had it rip in there for a little bit. It was just pure momentum up there that I was riding and doing so well. And I don't know if just how we put wear on the tires or something, but I just could not get that same feeling in the corner. And I mean, I had Greg there at the top the whole time, and I think it was battling Sizzler when I was ripping the outside line there, and he was just doing great. But mainly that whole last part battle with Greg was just getting out of the dirty air, and it was a task to do that, because it was almost like a guessing game going into each corner. I kind of knew what I was going to do in 3 and 4. 1 and 2, I was just wherever he's not, and you kind of got to guess if he's going to the top, to the bottom, and that was a very interesting thing to witness again. But yeah, it was really just a mixture of everything. I found the bottom was really helping out there on the long run wise, because when Greg was on that top line, I was just nailing the bottom, and I just could preet right back up to him, and he'd pull away, it seemed like in 3 and 4. And well, yeah, it was just an interesting circumstance tonight at Charlotte.
It was interesting. You yourself made it part of the way that way, and so thank you so much For the show, Ken Dale, as always, you get on the podium, you get the mic. Friends, family, sponsors, shout them out, my friend.
Yeah, I got to thank Archway Industrial Coatings, Jason Southard, and Sean Mott. I know I've given this spiel a lot, so I'm just going to kind of try to condense it a little bit, but I got to thank them first and foremost. Everything here, the league you see, is not possible without them. And got to thank Outland Custom Arms, Randy Dunlap, for jumping on board this year. And really glad to get up to the top of the podium for him and get those two sponsors. At least on my car up there at the front. And I got to thank all the contingent sponsors, Track Racer, Rogue Energy, Admin Box, Black Magic Studios. All those guys that do one thing or another for the league and make it operate smooth. And got to thank the whole team back at Instellar Esports and Ted for hanging out. And what a fight that those John and Ted had today. And couldn't be more proud of them for their effort tonight. And we'll keep rolling on here next week for the trucks with them and everybody else on the team, Mike and James and everybody else over at Instellar Esports, so all the affiliated teams and that sort of stuff. Gotta thank you guys up here in the booth for broadcasting and put on a good show, and gotta thank all the staff and everything that helped me make this possible, and keep this going while I'm gone. And it's been a rough day for the NASCAR community. Got to dedicate this one to Kyle Busch and his family, and it still doesn't feel real. It still doesn't click, but it's going to hit hard here pretty soon, and I think it's going to hit hard for the NASCAR community here come Sunday. So still lots of words for him, and it's a shame that we were holding two drivers this year on the car. We got Kyle Busch and Greg Biffle this year in the last 6 months, which is just been tragic for the NASCAR community, and hopefully there's brighter days ahead. But yeah, we'll roll on to Charlotte tomorrow for the truck series, and we'll move on from there.
I believe Murph has accidentally gone silent on us here, Greg.
No problem. Not a problem at all.
Well, I guess this is weird. Do I have to ask the serious question now?
No, I flipped my mic up to scratch my forehead, and I guess I didn't put it back down. So, Greg Evans is your winner tonight. He grabbed the lead in the final stage. It seemed like they took their turns, taking their shots at you, Greg. In the end, though, it was the same story as always. Long run speed prevailed over short run speed. You got the lead back and just kind of drove away from them with about 20 to go. Never to be headed again. You wind up 2.5 seconds ahead at the checkered flag. Talk to us about your run, because I don't know how you make it look easy, but you certainly do.
Man, I don't know. It's this new aero package or stuff they've got on the Xfinity or Rally car has really changed a lot as far as your driving styles and stuff. I feel like I'm not able to save tire as much as I would like to because it's so hard to pass. But yeah, we just kind of, I think we started 7th or 8th, something like that, and just kind of worked our way to the front. And then that's whenever you really had to start really planning your runs, planning where he's going to go. You're trying to run a different line than the guy in front of you, but also prevent the guy from behind you from getting a run on you. But man, it all worked out. The 41, he did a good job as far as trying to aero block and kind of see where I was going to run at. And it took us a while to get by him. Had to get a little aggressive a few times and kind of do a improvised slide job a couple times to get by him. But all in all, it was a really good race. Just had to drive it totally different than what we're used to the last few weeks.
You did. Now, Caleb, you can go ahead with your unserious question.
Unserious, Murph. All right, so Memorial Day weekend is here. Obviously it's the Coke 600, it's the Indy 500, but this is, it always kind of seems, for me at least, this is the weekend where the grilling season, kind of starts. So I gotta ask, hot dogs or burgers?
Me and my wife will probably be more like ribeyes this time. We might do some burgers and hot dogs, but I think we're gonna do some ribeyes this weekend. Hopefully I'm gonna get to go to the Sim Racing Expo in Charlotte this weekend. But then after that, it's gonna be all grilling and relaxing and pool and yeah, I'm ready for it though. But yeah, hopefully if everything works out, we'll do some ribeyes this weekend.
I'm partial to the steaks myself. I do like a good ribeye. I don't. We won't do any grilling Sunday, but I fully expect to cook at least 2, if not all 3 of my meals Monday behind the grill. So definitely with you there. As always, Greg, you're getting to be old hand at this. Friends, family, sponsors, shout them out, my man. You definitely earned it.
Thank you, guys. Definitely got to thank my guys from DVD Motorsports, Sim Magic, Sim Labs, Freightliner, Simshop. I think everybody was kind of racing with heavy hearts tonight. I was around Kyle a couple times within NASCAR and stuff, and the older you get, you kind of look at things differently, and realizing he's only 41 years old and got 2 kids at home, and you may not have liked him on the racetrack, or you may have, but man, I'm 40 now, and I got a little girl, and sitting here thinking, you never know when something's going to play out like that. So, and like he said, you celebrate each win because you never know what's going to be your last. Man, just super thankful. Gotta also thank or remember John Van Varels. I know Charles is watching. Man, it's been missing him all year long, and wish he was out here with us. But man, if you got some loved ones, hug them extra tight tonight. Like you said, you never know when it's going to be your last hug, your last goodbye, your last I love you. Man, just thankful that I've got my whole family with me, and extremely thankful and blessed. And happy Memorial Day to everybody. Please, everybody, take time to remember if anybody who lost their life in fighting for our country and for our freedoms. We couldn't do it without them. We wouldn't even be here. So take a few moments at least to remember them and thank them.
Absolutely, Greg. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's always a pleasure. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy. We'll see you at the next one.
Thank you, guys. Have a good Memorial Day weekend, everyone.
100%. That is Greg Evans. He's tonight's winner. And Caleb, what are your final thoughts on tonight? We've got another one of these to do tomorrow, although it's not going to be nearly as long. It could be just as exciting.
It could be. Tonight it was a very interesting race. We had a lot of the front runners very out early on in the race, and then a lot of those guys stayed out, like Ryan O'Donohue managed to climb back into the top 15, and we had a lot of strong guys late in running crash out, and it was a very attrition race, which we've been kind of getting recently here in the Grand National Series, but it didn't play out like how I was kind of imagining. I thought, we were going to get those really long green flag runs. We eventually did in the third stage, but we saw a lot of attrition, and mainly it was from a couple main incidents that happened all through the dog leg. Obviously, that one in stage number 3 took out the majority of the field, wrecked a lot of guys, and threw a lot of names we don't talk about a lot inside the top 10, and that really made things interesting. So it threw a lot of there was a lot of wrenches thrown at us tonight, but I'm sure tomorrow might be a little bit more straightforward in the truck series.
And I do look forward to a little bit more straightforward in the Truck Series. This one, very much an endurance race. Tomorrow, 134 laps instead of 200. It is going to be fast. It's going to be furious. It's going to be a shootout. Join Caleb Brashear and I tomorrow night, 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start for the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series, live right here at Charlotte, 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start. On Saturday, it is the iRacing IndyCar Series presented by 40 Racewear. They're going to go at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, 500 kilometers from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We will not be here. Monday night for the IndyCar Series Monday night top split. That will take place on Wednesday at 8. So remember, the races that are scheduled normally for Monday will happen on Wednesday. Tuesday night, it's the IndyCar Oval Series Tuesday night top split from Gateway, 8:15 Eastern on that one. And then that's going to be followed by the Indy Next Road Series Monday night top split from Detroit. Or that's going to be followed by the Indy Next Oval Series from Twin Ring Motegi. That'll lead us right back here to the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series, 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start from the Nashville Super Speedway. 1 week from today, May 28th. On this Memorial Day weekend, we do want to say a special thanks to all of those who have served our country, and we want to say a special prayer of remembrance to those who have lost their lives so that we can be free and we can enjoy the greatest of all spectator sports in motor racing. We also want to thank the military, the police, the firemen, the EMTs driving the ambulance. And Caleb, if I don't thank the nurse that unloads you when you get there and cuts off my uniform, my wife would be very upset, so we thank them too. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you all, and good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.